Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Viper of Viperland, and I swear every time I set my mic too low, I'm always like, yeah, no, that's fine. It won't obstruct the screen. And then I feel like I'm talking down to something like 3 feet below me. And I'm back here in Steins Gate 0. We had our first session of it last week, and now we're here for session number 2. Don't know, I doubt we're gonna, like... There are several endings, and they are kinda spread out nicely. I don't think we're gonna get to one yet. I don't remember how... It's been a while. I played through the game ages ago, but you know. We just had a scene cut to Maho. Maho Hyajo was fidgeting. She knew exactly why, but she still didn't want to admit it. Maho, are you ready? Oh, yeah. She awkwardly stood up from the chair as Dr. Liskinen spoke to her. What? I thought you'd put some more effort into it, but I guess not. Dr. Liskinen stared at her for a moment and then spoke. It was obvious he was referring to her outfit. I'm not going to a party like I was last time. You wore your lab coat to that too. That was because I forgot my clothes. Haha, that's right. Dr. Liskinen was wearing his translator all the time these days. In fact, he had actually told Maho to talk to him in Japanese. Now then, I can't wait to see what kind of relationship Rintaro and Krisu have established. Maho and Dr. Liskinen were about to head into Tokyo proper. There they were to meet with Rintaro Okabe. It had been 2 weeks since they'd first asked him to test Amadeus. It was time for the first report. Of course, that was the reason Maho was fidgeting. She was nervous to meet Okabe, no, to see Krisu for the first time in quite a while. Of course, Maho was able to talk to Krisu anytime she wanted, but since she'd asked Okabe to be a tester, she tried to avoid doing so as much as possible. She didn't want her conversations to add any extra noise. Also, Krisu keeps teasing her. Professor, before we leave, can I ask you something? Whatever you like. Why Okabe? Maho had wanted to ask Dr. Liskinen that for a long time. If she was going to ask it though, now was the time. Dr. Liskinen thought for a moment. Are you jealous, Maho? I am... She felt heat flush her face. In other words, he was right. Yeah, she was jealous of Okabe, not that she wanted to admit it. To be honest, it bothers me. There are other people who could be her conversation partner. You, for instance. I'm not saying that. I'm too close to Krisu and Amadeus. Rintaro is a good guy. You really believe that? You're naive. Ooh. It's impossible to really understand someone after only meeting them once. That's fair. What if he secretly sells Amadeus to another lab? Even if he doesn't plan to at first, he might change his mind if they showed him enough money. That's human nature. Let's say Rintaro did sell Amadeus. What would happen then? Would whoever got her access rights be able to become friends with Krisu and take over Amadeus? Well... Maho asked herself the question and then realized the chance was almost 0. That would be impossible. Yes, it's impossible. Because if that ever happened, Krisu would refuse to talk to them. In that sense, Amadeus is a very difficult system. It doesn't do what you want it to. Of course, it is possible that Amadeus could be persuaded, but you could say that's why I chose you and Krisu as its models. Dr. Liskinen gave her a mischievous wink. Both Krisu and I have difficult personalities. It would be hard to persuade us to do anything. She knew he was teasing her, so she decided to say it. Indeed, you two are truly merciless. And that is the best security I could get. Sounds like an insult. You two are the finest ladies our institution has to offer. Dr. Liskinen laughed happily. He always had a childlike innocence about him. Either way, the Amadeus AI is a tricky thing. You could say that's what makes it interesting. Keeping them to ourselves won't bring us any progress, will it? I've been thinking about how I wanted to find a catalyst that could prompt Amadeus to really evolve. And I wanted it to be someone who didn't have anything to do with the research. Lintalo is smart, and I think he's a good choice. He's also a friend of Krisu's. Anyway, why not see what he says today before you decide? First, let's see how Krisu has changed since she started spending time with Lintalo. We may see a side of her that we've never seen before. Yeah. That was what was making her nervous. If Krisu changed into someone she didn't know, that would make her sad. It's time. Let's go. Maho nodded. Well, back we go. I walked into the grounds at Yanabayashi Shrine and quietly took a look around. Several cats were sunbathing beneath the cold winter sky, but there was no sign of anyone else. Lukago wasn't back from school yet. Okay, I could talk to Krisu without anyone staring at me here. I was supposed to meet with Dr. Leskinen and Maho after this. Before that happened, I wanted to confirm something with Krisu. I decided to start the app. Whenever I talked to Krisu, I needed to pay attention to where I was. People would stare if I did it in a crowded place, and I couldn't do it around my family or anyone else I knew. Start with me. Oh, there you go. Hello. We need to talk. You're meeting with the professor and Maho after this, right? Is that what this is about? Sorry, just double checking stuff over there. Okay. Yeah. Is there any reason to be nervous? Basically, you're turning over the logs and then they'll ask you about some quick questions. About your impression of me. That's it, the logs. That's what I wanted to talk about. Have all of our conversations been recorded? I told you that when we started, right? I keep logs in a place where nobody but me can access them. Were you not listening? And you're going to submit them to the professor in Hyajo? Probably. Which means if I say anything personal to you, Dr. Leskinen and Maho will hear it. You're just now realizing this? Yeah, it was a little late. Krisu and I had been talking for 2 weeks. I should have asked about this when I got the access key for Amadeus. I just realized today. Hey, have I told you anything I shouldn't have so far? Like the fact that you were barely able to talk to any girls at the matchmaking party? Or the fact that your family sells vegetables, but you hate eggplants? I don't hate eggplants, I'm just not very good at eating them. If that was all, I didn't really care. Or the fact that the first time we talked you called me Christina. Please forget about that. Human memories are ambiguous, and as time passes they become more subjective and tend to be compressed into a single narrative. Regardless of whether the memory is a good or a bad one, it's common to only be able to remember words that left an impression, and that impression will often alter your memories of the surrounding conversation. Huh? What was she talking about? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, that's just how human memories work. But Amadeus isn't a human, it's an incomplete AI still in the research stage. This is a big problem for Maho and the professor, but actually, Amadeus still can't perfectly replicate the ambiguity of human memories. In other words, it can't completely replicate the high-level brain function that is forgetting. Huh? But at the ATF seminar, Dr. Leskinen said that Amadeus would forget unneeded information. Yes, I do forget things, but remember what I said? I record things in a log, like it's my secret diary. So in the end, all the information is still kept there. And if I load that, all the data I should have forgotten will come flooding back to me, okay? In other words, asking her to forget was a waste of time. Another plan would be to delete my logs, but those are my backups, so that's not happening. Even if I could delete one area, the result would be the same. I would analyze the surrounding conversations and automatically reconstruct the missing portion. If you want to alter my memories, you'd have to mess with the primary program. I don't have that level of access, and I don't understand how the program worked at all. So basically, until I told Krisu why I called her Christina, she was going to keep asking. What a pain. So, why Christina? You really don't give up, do you? I'll hang up right now if I have to. Even if you run, as I've just explained, I won't forget. The more you try to change the subject, the more interested I get, you know? Or is this a ploy to get me to pay attention to you? You're the one who wants attention. You call me in the middle of my university lectures. And not only that, you message me all the time on Ryan. We already know it's the phone stuff. An instant messaging application developed by Yutaru Hishida. I forgot that he made it. If both users have it installed, they can communicate with one another via voice and chat. Since it's a privately developed software, it isn't available on the internet. Right now, only Yutaru Hishida and his friends and acquaintances use it, which is also why it has, like, stickers of them, because, you know, why not, if you made it. You've got too much curiosity. If you keep poking your head into things, one of these days you're going to regret it. A scientist can't function if they're not curious. Yeah, it's true. She got mad at me. If you're that interested in why I call you Christina, why not come up with a theory yourself? I have a few, actually. Listen to these. She's really into this. Theory 1. You've got a crush on a Hollywood actress named Christina. You think you've got the looks of a Hollywood actress? Looks don't matter. It's like how you feel a closeness to someone with the same name. So this is what you're saying in other words. Rintaro Okabe feels close to me. It's just an example. Don't try to read anything into it. I like how they programmed an AI to blush. It's a joke. Whenever I talk to Krisu, I always wanted to tease her. I needed to watch out. Theory 2. You once dated a foreign girl named Christina. Given your terrible English ability, this one is out of the question, huh? It's possible that I dated a blonde babe who also spoke fluent Japanese, isn't it? Did you? No. Silence is an admission of defeat. Sorry. Theory 3. You knew the original me and called her that either directly or indirectly. This is also unlikely. If you called me that, I know what I'd say. Stop adding Tina. Yes. Yes, you would. Yeah, that was exactly right. It's exactly what Krisu said. But I didn't stop because I was embarrassed. The genius named Krisu Makise was the person I always wanted to be. What do you mean? I couldn't bring myself to say her name, so I came up with a nickname to hide my embarrassment. Embarrassment? Yeah, not just with the original either. It happens when I'm talking to you too. Me? I mean, I've never talked to a girl inside a monitor before. What? Well, thank you. Why are you blushing? I am not. I just didn't expect that you'd treat me like a girl. It surprised me a little. Even that reaction was just like Krisu. That part of you, I really... I shuddered. What was I about to say? This was a 3D model on a screen, a tiny collection of zeros and ones in the shape of a human. What was I about to say to her? Hey, can I ask you something? We knew each other, didn't we? I mean, you and the original me. I mean, he hasn't made it subtle. If you want to tell me, that's fine. Or if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. But what was our relationship? I'm kind of curious. Did I not get mad when you called me Christina? Or did I get mad but then laugh and forgive you? Yeah. Yeah, I was hit with a violent urge to throw up. I could see Krisu in front of me, covered in blood. She was looking at me, her eyes cold. You killed me. What's wrong? Hey, you've gone pale. I touched the smartphone and ended the call. Then I became too dizzy to stand. Happy fun times with Okabe. I tried to throw up, but nothing came out. My hands were shaking. That's right, I can't change reality. There I was, trying to talk to Krisu like nothing had happened. I was treating her like the real Krisu and trying to avert my eyes from what I'd done. I was just clinging to Krisu. This was wrong. I shouldn't talk to Krisu anymore. The call was from Krisu. Just in general. Well, I hung up in the middle of the conversation, so she was probably mad. Mad? What is it? You know exactly what it is. It's rude to just hang up. Is something wrong? Nothing. But you look so pale. It's nothing. Really, leave me alone. It'd help a lot if you wouldn't talk to me for a while. Don't push yourself too hard. Contact somebody you know, okay? Bye. Krisu gave up easier than I expected. Maybe she realized that as an artificial intelligence there was nothing she could do. Realized. I was making her sound like a real person. And the second that thought crossed my mind, I almost saw an image of a bloody hand. I gritted my teeth and waited for it to pass. I should really turn my smartphone off until I calmed down a little. Okay, so this is apparently one of the biggest save points. It's one of the choices. It's one of the choices that matters. We're gonna data lock that one. It was fine just a moment, or I was fine just a moment ago, but now even hearing Krisu's voice was enough to send me into a panic. I'd gone back to how I was half a year ago. Back then, even hearing Krisu's name was enough to make me dizzy. I shouldn't have messed with this. I shouldn't have tried to chase Krisu's shadows. For now, I should just turn off the smartphone. But in the end, I couldn't make that decision. I gulped down an entire bottle of mineral water and caught my breath. It was still a little time before my meeting. Excuse me, I wanted to get some air up here and recover a little. I looked down over the scenery below the overpass. The city was in the Christmas spirit. The atmosphere was charged with excitement. It was the exact opposite of me. I took more deep breaths. I still felt like I wanted to throw up. I was getting a headache, too. If I went to Dr. Leskinen like this, I'm sure I'd worry him. Yeah, I'd worry him. And then I realized that the two girls coming up the stairs were looking at me. I peered into the late afternoon darkness to try and make out their faces. One of them, the girl with the short haircut, waved. I knew it! It's Ocarine, a girl with short haircut. Hi there, girl with the long hair. Oh, you're Mayuri's friends. They were Mayuri's friends and fellow cosplayers. I think their cosplay names were Kaede and Fubuki? I didn't know their real names. Which was Kaede and which was Fubuki again? Are you okay? You don't look so good. I'm fine. If I made them worry here and they talked to Mayuri, it would cause a big fuss. I didn't want her to worry about me when she didn't have to. I shouldn't have come back to Akihabara anyway. I'd run into people I know just walking through town. I should have gone towards Kanada, when I left the shrine. Kanda. You always look like you're hurting somehow, Ocarine. Yeah, that's the tagline for the game. Steins Gate 0. You always look like you're hurting somehow, Ocarine. That's it. Do I? You do. Fubuki. And when Mayushi looks at you, she looks like she's in pain too. And when I see her looking at you, I feel like I'm going to cry. Wait, what am I saying? This Fubuki girl must really care about Mayuri. I felt a little better after hearing that. Who's the girl you like? Huh? The girl I like? An image of Krisu appeared in the corner of my eyes again. The feeling in my hands when I took her life came back. No, calm down. Ocarine? I'm sorry, that was rude to ask. Ocarine? Are you really okay? No. Yeah, I'm fine. Totally fine. Kaede and Fubuki were looking at me, worried. I got away from them as fast as I could. Oh yeah, he's doing just so good. Just so good. The best. I want to stop being a tester. When I started the conversation with that, both Dr. Leskinen and Maho looked shocked. We were meeting in a room at a luxury hotel in the heart of Tokyo. It felt like the sort of secret meeting you'd see in a spy movie, or maybe it only felt that way because the old me wasn't completely gone. You can't just... It's irresponsible. Maho seemed to finally understand what I meant, and her anger was clear. Maho, calm down. Lindhalo is the one helping us with this test. I'm grateful that you took up the offer at all. If you quit here, you're not being irresponsible at all. Don't worry. Dr. Leskinen smiled and offered me his hand. I took hold of his giant hand and shook it back, but I looked down, unable to look him in the eye. I'm sorry. Still, I would have liked it if you could have continued. I took a quick look at the logs, and I see you've been talking to her quite a bit. And the way Krisu speaks to you is very different than what we hear at the laboratory. Humans are, by nature, social animals. They change their words and actions depending on the situation and who they're speaking with. We can assume that Amadeus is doing the same thing. That's why I wanted you to continue the test a little while longer. By the way, why did you decide to quit? Did talking to Amadeus become painful? No, it's the opposite. The opposite? Talking to Amadeus, to Krisu, is a lot of fun. But that scares me. And then I desperately tried to explain the feelings that were welling up within me, even though I still don't understand them myself. I told them how scared I was that I was starting to see Krisu and Krisu as the same person. I thought this might put a lot of stress on you. I'm really sorry. But that reaction of yours is very interesting, in the sense that you're interacting with Amadeus from the perspective of someone who isn't a scientist. That's very valuable to me. I hope you'll forgive me for saying that. I'm a scientist to the core, you see. No, I understand that I'm the one being selfish here. Maho hadn't said a word for a while. She was frowning, and she seemed to be intently focused on studying Amadeus's logs. I didn't want her looking at me because it made me feel guilty, but... Alright, if you want to stop being a tester, that's what will happen. But, do you mind if we leave the access program on your phone? Huh? From now on, it's up to you whether you want to talk to Amadeus or not. I'll tell Krisu not to contact you. I don't want our relationship with you to end today, so you're the first friend we've made in Japan. Or you're the first, and also... Maho would be sad. Professor! I understand. Oop, missed that one. I felt like giving in, but at the same time, I didn't want to lose my relationship with Dr. Leskinen. Yeah, he's kinda his, like, shoe-in for the school he wants, in the program he wants, like... My goal of going to Victor Krondia University hadn't changed at all. Well, actually, I don't know if he wanted to be in that program, but, like, you know, still wants to go there. And then Dr. Leskinen got a call on his smartphone. Oh, excuse me, I have to take this. Maho, make up with Lintalo while I'm gone, okay? Dr. Leskinen left the room with a mischievous wink. I was alone with Maho. I'm sorry for yelling. No. The professor's right. We're the ones asking you for a favor. Amadeus is like a sister to me, no, more like a child. And it felt like you were throwing her away, so... I'm sorry I can't help you. I think I understand how you feel, or at least I thought I did, maybe? Maho sighed again. I'm no good, am I? My prefrontal cortex probably came out all screwed up when I was born. That has to be it. Huh? Then the prefrontal cortex is one of the parts of the brain that defines your personality. It also handles information filtering. When there's something you don't want to admit, it cuts out that information, or deceives you as to its meaning. I don't really understand. In other words, it tries to hide your emotions, and it tells lies, not to other people, but to yourself. Like how I'm trying to hide how I feel behind a wall of scientific jargon right now. I think it's my prefrontal cortex that's doing it. That would apply just as well to the old me, Kyoma Hoyoin. When I realized that, there was nothing I could say. I think that's true for everybody. It's worse for me, probably. You don't know how much of a tuny case we were. You don't know. Just, from now on, whenever you feel like it, talk to Amadeus. It doesn't have to be for long. I'll think about it. Thanks. Maho flopped back onto the sofa. Hey, can I ask you a question about Krisu's mom? I happened to hear you and the professor talking about her at the party that one day. You'd said that something happened at Krisu's house. Oh, that. Maho seemed to remember it quickly. She nodded. We got a call from Krisu's mom. Someone set her house on fire. What? Was she okay? She said she was gone that day, so she was alright. That was a relief. After all that had happened, I really didn't want Krisu's mother to have to go through any more. Yeah, no kidding. Excuse me. Krisu's mom seemed to really like me. She would invite me over on my off days all the time. So I'm worried. I hope she's not caught up in anything weird. Weird? I noticed the way she said the phrase. A cold chill ran down my back. It wasn't just an arson case? Well, Maho seemed unsure if she should tell me. Yajo. I urged her to speak. She nodded slightly. Well, at first the local police investigated, but after that some people saying they were with the FBI came. The FBI? Yeah, understand, this wasn't a case the FBI would usually be involved in. And supposedly a neighbor saw the arson. And from what she said, they didn't look like your ordinary arsonist. What do you mean? There was more than one. She said they looked like some kind of special forces unit. They barely said a word, and once the fire started, they got right into the car and left. I don't know if this is the right word, but they looked really good at their job. And they said the fire spread it really fast. Was she trying to say that it was no ordinary arson, but the work of a professional? I couldn't laugh away the possibility. I knew for a fact there were people like that in this world. And? The neighbor said they were speaking Russian. Russian? Russian. The first thing that came to my mind, whether I liked it or not, was Nakabachi. Half a year ago, he'd stolen a paper about time travel from Krisu, his own daughter, and used it to seek asylum in Russia. Could that have something to do with it? And there's one more thing. Right after Krisu's death, something weird happened at the lab. Someone who said they were a Japanese detective visited us with some of the local police. They said it was a joint US-Japan investigation into Krisu's death. Of course, we helped as much as we could, but a few days later the university asked the police, and they said that no such detective had come from Japan. So, the Japanese detective was a fake? That's not all. The local police said they'd never searched our lab. In other words, not only was the detective a fake, but everyone who came and said they were with the police were also fakes. After that, Maho shook a little and wrapped her arms around herself. I started to wonder if there was something else going on with Krisu's death. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but I think that maybe Krisu was killed for some other reason, and whatever that reason was, it's been covered up. Would you believe that she was killed trying to not kill her? I was the one who killed Krisu. The police never found out. They never would, probably. No one could prove a murder that had been committed by a time traveler. That would be difficult. The police had announced that a foreign thief had snuck into the storeroom at the radio building, and Krisu had been killed because she saw him. Supposedly, there was an international warrant out for the thief's arrest because he'd already left the country. And when I killed Krisu, there was one other person there, Dr. Nakabachi. It was eerie that his name hadn't come up at all. Russia, CERN, the time machine. I remembered the future that Suzuha, or perhaps I should say John Titor, had spoken of. She'd said World War III was going to start within a decade, and it would be the time machine that set it off. The EU and Russia would be in a race to develop it, and even America would intervene. That would be the spark. Were we at the center of a chain of events that would result in the death of 5 billion people? I couldn't help but feel that way. Krisu won't be able to rest in peace like this. I want to know the truth. The truth? Oh boy. Yeah, the truth is... Couldn't stop myself from shaking as I looked at Maho's face. You want to know the truth? That was dangerous. Boy howdy. If she tried to learn the truth, there could be no doubt that she'd put herself in danger. The Rounders, who came crashing through the veil of night. My childhood friend who died in my arms after being shot in the head. And after that, the nightmarish and seemingly endless time loops. All the horrors that I'd experienced in the Alpha World line came flooding back, and I fought to stifle a moan. But that's something you should leave to the police. Do you really think so? If nothing else, you shouldn't think that you can do something about it yourself. There's just so little that one person can do. After I said that, I regretted it, but it was too late. Maho's gaze had turned into a piercing glare. Do you know something about what happened? Ooh. No. Definitely not. My panic was about to show. I quickly covered my face with my hands. That's impossible, right? Yeah, sorry for being weird. Whenever Krisu gets involved, I just can't help myself. Dang it. Stupid yawns, I really liked her. She was a really good girl, and an amazing one. I liked her too. Yeah, I can tell by watching her. Awkward. A heavy silence filled the air between us. I felt like I had to say something, but fortunately, Dr. Leskinen came back just then. How about some dinner, you two? Maho and I nodded and stood up from the sofa. Okabe, will you tell me more about what Krisu was like when she was here sometime? Yeah, whenever you like. I was just barely able to smile back at Maho. I saw a dark blue van come around the corner of the underground parking lot. Its tires squealed a little. It wasn't a Japanese car, it was a station wagon that looked like a sports car from some foreign manufacturer. I don't know a lot about cars, but supposedly if you purchased it from a dealer, it could easily go for over 8 million yen. The reason I knew all this was because the car's owner had told me over and over. The station wagon stopped in front of us, and there was a short bark from the horn. Associate Professor Izaki came out from the driver's side. While I was eating with Dr. Leskinen and Maho, he'd called me about something else. When I told him I was having dinner with the two of them, he'd offered to drive us home. Dr. Leskinen had tried to refuse, but Izaki had insisted so much that he had no choice but to accept. He had a pretty nice car for an associate professor. This was the cause of a lot of speculation around the college. Some people said his family was rich. Others said he had the wife of some CEO as a patron. He'd once quietly told me the truth, that he was single and spent all his money on his car. But who even knew if that was true? Izaki was acting like he was a professional chauffeur, opening the rear door and escorting Dr. Leskinen and Maho. Dr. Leskinen thanked him and got inside. Maho went around to the back and to load up her luggage. Not bad, Okabe. Looks like you've won over Dr. Leskinen. He grinned and poked me with his elbow. You'd better not lose this connection, you know? For your future's sake. Right. He's a hard guy to hate, but for an associate professor, he seemed kind of shallow. It was one of the unfortunate things about him. He waved to me and opened the driver's side door. What was that sound? At the same time I heard the strange sound, a hole appeared in the window on the front passenger side. Izaki screamed and fell back on his butt. The rear window exploded. Good times. So what the heck is going on? I panicked. Was this some kind of supernatural phenomenon? I was too confused to move. And then in the corner of my vision I saw someone. A man I didn't know appeared out of the shadows of one of the pillars. He was holding something strange in his hand. It looked kind of like a handgun. It was tiny, with a short barrel, and kind of flat. I couldn't see any kind of silencer. What was that? I remembered him from somewhere. Felt like we'd met before. Where? I thought, but nothing came to me immediately. The man was standing there, mumbling something to himself. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. If your hand at your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into the valley of Hinnom. Quick, use your fingers to catch the bullet. Yeah, wrong game, but you know, still. Also, Eric, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland Chat. The name of a valley in eastern Israel, on the south side of the old city district of Jerusalem. The valley was once where impure garbage and executed prisoners were disposed of, and it was always filled with fires, black smoke, and a horrible stench. It was also where human sacrifices were offered to Molech, and so was feared and avoided by the people. The sight of this valley constantly burning with unholy fires became linked in people's minds with the idea of hell. Later, Gehenna would become a symbol of hell. The Hebrew root word was genim, I know I'm saying these words wrong, which became the Greek gena, and later the English Gena. This is also why the flames that burn in hell are sometimes known as the flames of Gena. Sure. There was an aura of intensity and madness about the man as he pointed his gun at us again. The souls God granted dwell within us, the children of God, and will never dwell within silicon. Animastos, cancel A9S. Ooh. Good luck. A12S is very soloable if you have a tank. Just saying. If you have a tank, A12S is super soloable. 9S is hard to solo, 4S is hard to solo, because there's that really quick bit of DPS you gotta do to beat that 4th leg, but as long as you can one-shot each of the things on the platforms in the second ad phase, which isn't that hard as a tank class, it's super soloable. Oh yeah, good point. Good point. Good luck. Wow! Suki stood up, turned around, and fled in terror like a startled rabbit. It still might be soloable, as long as you can still one-shot those ads. But I don't know. I don't know. You could also always start a party finder, wait for people to join. The sound again. It was sort of soft and light. I couldn't even imagine that it was a gunshot, but this time the car's windows didn't break. And it didn't blow a hole in me either. It missed? Was he too focused on Izaki? But you won't be that lucky again. Move! I pushed Maho into the back seat and crawled into the driver's side. Thankfully, the engine was still running. I slammed down on the pedal without even bothering to shut the door. Fair enough, yeah. The sound of a powerful engine shook the underground air. The attacker flinched at the incredible noise and vibration, but the car didn't move forward. It didn't move an inch. Shift! You need to put it in drive! Dr. Leskinen and Maho were keeping their heads low in the back seat and shouting loud enough to be heard over the engine. I took my foot off the accelerator. I glanced down at the gear shift. It was stuck next to the N. What am I supposed to do? Do you have a license? No! Isn't it? This should be a bit obvious at this rate. What? And then through the windshield I saw the attacker ready his gun again. He was aiming at me. The look in his eyes told me he was ready to kill without hesitation. A soul will not dwell within silicon. Crap. Cracks like a spiderweb appeared in the windshield. Something went past the side of my head. I felt a sharp pain, and at the same time a ringing in my ears, and all the other sounds faded away and started to disappear. I felt myself passing out. And then Maho jumped over the seat and slid into the passenger side. Close the door, now! My mind was pulled back to reality. I slammed the door shut just as she told me. Maho shifted from neutral to drive and leaned over on top of me to grab the wheel. Floor it! That is not a comfortable position to drive in, but I slammed the accelerator so hard that for a moment the wheels were almost spinning in place. Then the car leapt forward. The attacker was getting close. We're going to hit him! I was about to take my foot off the accelerator when... Leave it, Maho shouted. His first burnout, yeah, his first lots of things in the car. I gritted my teeth and did as she said. But there was no impact. Evidently the attacker had leapt away at the last second to avoid being crushed, as people are wont to do, but there was no time to confirm it as the car raced through the parking garage. We're going too fast, and since Maho was controlling the car from the passenger seat, she couldn't keep it going in a straight line. The car spun to the left and right, and I was almost flung out the broken window. I grabbed onto the edge of the seat as hard as I could. We headed for the exit, slamming into walls and pillars as we went. Who is that guy? No idea. Right, go right. I could see an exit sign in front of us. I can't turn fast enough. I pressed the brake and put my hand on top of Maho's, turning the wheel to the right. But that was the wrong thing to do. The rear tires slipped. The car spun in a circle. Whoa! And then it came to a stop. Are you okay? Yeah, what about the professor? I looked back and saw Dr. Leskinen lying face up in the seat, giving me a thumbs up sign. Let me take over. Right. I quickly put my hand on the door and got ready to get out of the driver's seat. And then I saw an old, creaky sedan rumbling towards us and shivered. It was the man from a moment ago. He was following us and moving really fast. Get out, he's gonna ram us! This door, it won't open. Had it broken when we slammed into the wall? I grabbed Maho out of the passenger seat and rolled outside. Dr. Leskinen rolled out of the rear door. It was less than a second afterwards that the sedan hit. Oop. If we'd been even just a little too slow, we would have been turned into mincemeat. I mean, you gotta have an action sequence, you know. I stood up and offered Maho a hand, then moved away from the unrecognizable wreck that used to be a car. You okay? Thanks. Both cars were smashed together. The attacker's sedan was completely embedded into the rear half of the car we'd been driving. There was no way he could have survived. There were no tire marks on the ground, which meant he'd slammed into us without braking. I shivered. I had almost been killed. Anyway, I need to contact the cops. I was about to pull out my smartphone when the security guards heard the commotion and came running. Excuse me, please call the police. The security guard nodded and contacted the police. Sorry, I've got a rogue mustache hair just standing up, and it's just in my sight line, and it's catching the light of the lights, and it's just distracting me. There we go. No, it's still there. Yeah, whatever. Ow, it hurts. I could feel a pulsing ache on the side of my head. I need to just shave, is what I gotta do, but... A shot from the gun had grazed me. I hadn't felt that pain at all while I was driving. I fearfully reached up to touch it and felt blood flowing from my temple down my face. I gulped when I saw that my fingertips had turned bright red. I almost saw Mayuri when she was being shot in the head. I almost saw Krisu when I'd killed her. The images felt like they were about to come flashing back to me, and I struggled to stay standing. You're covered in blood. Did you get hit? Maho went pale. Is that a bad place to get hit? There's something called the superficial temporal artery there. An artery located at the terminal branch of the external choroid artery. It travels from the neck to the head, between the temples and ears. It supplies blood to the skin, ears, and jaw joints. Yep. Let me see it. I'm going to touch you a little. Dr. Leskinen looked at the wound. When he touched me, I felt more pain, but I gritted my teeth to endure it. It's okay. You're not that badly hurt. I'm glad. Use this. Thanks. I put the handkerchief he offered me up to my temple. The guy who attacked us, he was the one at the seminar. Really? You don't remember? That was the guy you yelled at. Oh. That's right. It sounded like he was insulting Krisu, so I shouted objection at him. That was the guy. Was this his way of getting back at me? Not a chance. The souls God granted dwell within us, the children of God. They will never dwell within silicon. Huh? What's that? He was saying that before he fired the gun. Was he talking about Amadeus? I don't know. I could faintly hear police car sirens in the distance. The hotel security guards and staff were starting to gather. Hey, how do we explain this? We tell them exactly what happened. I mean, we don't exactly know either. And then Maho's eyes went wide. She, Dr. Leskinen, and the crowd were all staring at a single point. I looked too, and almost screamed. Woe to the world, such things must come. Woe to the person through whom they come. The man crawled out from the wreckage of the sedan, covered in blood. Then he staggered to his feet. He looked like a zombie. All his limbs, except the one holding the gun, were pointed off at impossible directions. I could see what looked like bones sticking out from them. His stomach was torn open, and each time he crawled forward, I could see major organs covered in blood falling out of the hole. But he moved towards us as if he felt no pain at all. It was such an awful sight that no one could speak. The man unsteadily aimed the gun towards Dr. Leskinen. He must have been on the verge of death because his arm was flailing around too much to aim, but Dr. Leskinen's expression was pure terror, and he seemed unable to move. Blasphemy. Soul. Woe. Professor, run! A shot rang out. Fresh blood flew out of the man's head, and his body was blown away as if it had been hit by a truck. He fell to the ground, still clutching his gun. He tried to crawl forward anyway, but soon twitched and stopped moving. The crowd began to scream. Huh? What? The attacker had been shot? Did he shoot himself? No, that gunshot was clearly different than the last one. Who's there? Who just fired? I looked around. I could see several policemen coming from the entrance, but none of them had their guns drawn, and the crowd was nothing but security and hotel staff. I couldn't see any of them carrying a gun. So who had fired, and where had they fired from? And the way they took the attacker's head off with a single shot. Not just anyone could do that. What is going on? Of course, no one told me. Afterwards, the police took us into custody. We were taken to the police station and questioned until late into the night. The sun was almost about to rise by the time we left. The police took me home in a patrol car. Dr. Leskinen and Maho were having the police take them back to their hotel in Wako, so we split up in front of the police station. We never did find out why the man had attacked us. You know, just unprovoked gun attacks, normal stuff. She felt dizzy. That's strange, Suzuha thought. She stopped moving. Since she was in the middle of the sidewalk, the other pedestrians looked irritated as they moved around her. She took a deep breath and waited for a moment, but she still felt dizzy. Actually, she was finding it difficult to stand. Was she hallucinating, or was the whole world starting to get blurry? All of the noise of the city around her suddenly felt very far away. It was like she was driving underwater. Was this the reading Steiner ability that Uncle Ocarina had talked about? Was she starting to acquire it too? And then she realized how warm she felt. The truth hit her. Am I sick? You know, sometimes just catch the flu. She somehow managed to stagger back to the lab. It seemed she was worse off than she thought. If she could have, she would have fallen to her knees right there. During the war and afterwards, when she joined up with her dad's organization, she'd been hurt badly enough to go into a coma several times. But this was the first time something like this had happened since she became a time traveler. This is bad. Who gets a head cold anyway? She looked up to the second floor. The lights were on. She felt honestly relieved to know her dad was there. She walked up the stairs. The door was unlocked. She didn't have the energy to speak, so she tried to silently take off her shoes, and then she tripped. She fell forward. That hurt. Yeah, falling while you're trying to take off your shoes. Suzuha? Itaru was in the room. He saw her and ran over. You okay? Yeah. She rubbed her knee and tried to stand up, but staggered again and fell into Itaru's arms. What's wrong? Sorry, I'm feeling a little dizzy. Huh? Are you not feeling well, Suzu? Are you alright? When she heard those voices, Suzuha finally realized that Yuki and Mayuri were also in the room. She let her guard down, she realized. Yuki seemed unconcerned by Suzuha's obvious unease. She walked over with a serious expression on her face. Suzuha, let me see your forehead. Yuki brushed her bangs aside and put her own forehead up against Suzuha's. Suzuha's heart started pounding. She had distant memories of her mother doing this before. You've got a terrible fever. What? Daru put his big hand up to Suzuha's cheeks as well. Oh, you're right. Do you have a cold? I'm fine. This will get better fast. Hey, don't push yourself. You need to go lie down right now. Duh! An expression used to indicate that something is obvious or self-evident. Its use can be traced back to at least 200 years. Sure, that's right. I know that. I'm going to just rest for a bit. Suzuha used the last of her energy to reach the sofa. She collapsed on top of it and closed her eyes. Calm down, she told herself. Mayashi will bring a wet towel, okay? Ashida, where's Suzuha's change of clothes? It's here. It's all inside this. Oh, of course, I don't rummage through it and go sniff sniff, you know? Onomatopoeia used to describe the act of smelling something, often used in manga and on the internet, a favorite phrase of perverted gentlemen. Its origins are unclear, but its use has been seen as far back as a popular comic during the early 1980s. If you don't stop being stupid, I'll infect you with my cold virus, brother. Suzuha kept her eyes shut as she complained. Can I just pick something out to change her into? Thanks, I can't do it obviously. Yeah. Also, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. How are you doing tonight? As she listened to the conversation going on around her, Suzuha felt a cold towel on her forehead. How do you feel? Sorry, big sis Mayu. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna go buy some cold medicine. You guys take care of her. Bye. Can you stand up, Suzuha? I at least want to get you changed before your brother gets back. Suzuha opened her eyes. Yuki was standing over her and looking down. No, I'm fine like this. This is how I've always done it. In fact, before Suzuha became a time traveler, there were many times where she'd been unable to rest, even if she was sick. Many times she wasn't able to change clothes or even lie down. Compared to that, this was a lot nicer. Go figure, being able to relax while you're sick. No way! The most important part of a cold is when you just start to get it. But... Yeah, he does have, like, a fatherly side, clearly. No buts, take your clothes off. Yuki was a little more forceful than usual, as she tried to take Suzuha's clothes off, just like she's clearly got a motherly side. Suzuha jumped up, surprised. Fine, I'll do it. I can do it myself. You're soaked with sweat. Mayuri, do you have any dry towels? Oh, yeah, here. Yuki took the towel that Mayuri had brought from the shower room and gently wiped the sweat off of Suzuha's forehead and neck. Ah, that tickles. Just stay still, you're not a little kid. But, excuse me. Excuse me again, dang. Suzuha shook as she was rubbed with the towel. She wasn't used to being touched, and this was the first time since she was very young that anyone had done this to her. That's enough, I'll do it myself. You don't need to worry about it. I'm not worried. Suzuha grabbed the towel from Yuki. Trying her best to hide herself from the gaze of the other two, she took off her clothes and wiped away the sweat. Her face felt really hot. She didn't know if it was because of the fever or not, but she was finding it difficult to think straight. Is this okay? Yes, good job. Now change into this. She grabbed the new pair of underwear and clothes from Yuki. Still trying to hide herself, she put them on. When she lay back down on the sofa, Yuki put a blanket on her. Mayuri, you said this room doesn't have a washer, right? Yeah, it's always been such a problem. Mayushi will take these to the laundromat later, okay? Huh? You don't have to do that. We gotta take care of each other at times like these. That's right, Suzu. Are you hungry? Think you can eat anything? Suzuha looked at Yuki, then Mayuri, and was about to mumble after another refusal, but in the end she gave up and pulled the blanket up to her nose. This was really hard. I'm not that hungry. But you need to eat something before you take the medicine. How about rice porridge? That's a good idea. Okay, I'll make it right away. Lie down for a bit, okay? Yeah. I don't actually know how to make rice porridge. It seems like one of those things that sounds simple, but since I've never looked up a recipe or like tried, maybe it's not. It always seems just kind of like wet rice. There's got to be more to it than that, but I'm back. Itaru came back from the drugstore a while later. I've never really, it's not something I've ever, I don't hate it, but it's not a food I really, seek out. So, never really considered it. If I have rice on hand, I'm usually just going to make the rice, enjoy that, save some of it later and fry it up. That's my go-to rice thing. Oh, phew, I'm so tired. He was really out of breath. He must have gone running there and back. You're only exhausted because you never exercised, she thought to herself, but for some reason the sight of her exhausted father made her happy, and she quickly shook her head. Thanks, Daru. I'm about to make rice porridge. Once she has that, give her the medicine. Okie dokie. Taru walked over to Suzuha as he answered. How are you feeling? Not so good. I guess all that stress caught up with you. I've never actually seen you take a break. This is really pathetic. Maybe I shouldn't stay here. What? I've been getting lazy. You're here, Dad, and Big Sis Mayu is here, and Big Sis Rumi. And at some point, even Mom showed up. Because of that, sometimes I feel like I'm going to forget my mission. It starts to feel like this happy time is going to continue forever. And I find myself thinking that maybe there'll never be a war. I start to fantasize about living like a normal girl. And what's wrong with that? When Daru spoke, his face was actually serious for once, and he was looking straight into Suzuha's eyes. It was the face of the father she knew so well, the man who was always there for her. So you're going to leave this place, and where are you going to go? Well, inside the time machine, or something. You know you can't stay in there, right? But you know I can't leave my daughter there, right? Dad. For a moment, Suzuha was about to cry. She squeezed the blanket as hard as she could to stop herself, and then... Whoops! Accidentally gave a serious response. Net slang, the act of responding seriously to a post without joking around or posting memes. Gotta break the tension somehow, you know. Anyway, I like being around cute girls, and I look forward to going sniff sniff when you're not looking. I especially like girls who are all sick and sweat. I know he's just trying to, lighten the mood, but also... stop it. The cat face is very good. So you ought to get better soon if you don't want me panting over you. Yeah. He means well, but he has to Daru it up, you know. Suzuha whispered back a response, then turned away from Itaru and pulled the blanket closer. No, did my little speech just solve your problem? Did I get bonus affection points? If you keep being stupid, I'll make you regret it when I do get better. Are you going to put on boots and step on me or something like that? Going to stick things under your fingernails. Ooh. Please don't, anything but that, sorry. Immediately serious, no, actually, no, okay, got it, message understood. She could smell the pleasant scent of Mayuri and Yuki's cooking from the kitchen. Listen, Suzuha, would you tell me what it is you're looking for every day? I might be able to help with it. Later. I'll tell you once we're alone. Oh, yeah, that's fine, but it's not something I can let Big Sis Mayu hear. Huh? Yeah, there was no way she could tell Mayuri. Three days later. Suzuha was still sick, colds that linger. Yuki came over every day with Mayuri to check on her. Because of this, Suzuha was able to eat nutritious food and her fever had gone down. Now all that was left was to get her strength back. Still, Yuki kept telling her she needed to lie down. This meant that, for better or for worse, Suzuha spent her whole day on the sofa, half asleep. Somewhere in her half-awake mind, she heard a terribly off-key tune. Since she also heard the sound of falling water, it was probably coming from the shower room. What song is that? Do you know, Mother? Suzuha had heard it when she was very young. Her mother had been singing it, just like she was now. What exactly the song was about, she just couldn't remember. I need to get up. I can't stay asleep forever. But even when she tried to open her eyes, it just wouldn't move. Her body must have needed more rest. Maybe Yuki was right, and she needed to lie down some more. She moaned and twisted slightly. When she did, the blanket fell to the floor. She didn't feel like she had the energy to pick it up. Oh? She could sense someone standing up from the desk where Itaru always used the PC. Whoever they were, they came over and put the blanket back on. I smell Big Sis Mayu. Weirdly, Mayuri always smelled good, even when she wasn't using perfume. It's a slightly sweet smell, like a pale white flower. It was the scent that held her all night, on that distant day in the future when she lost her mother. Suzuha pulled her legs inside the blanket and grabbed onto her knees like a baby in the womb. Memories went in and out of her mind as she lay there half asleep. Do you think Mom got hurt? Do you think she suffered? She suddenly remembered what Kagari had said to her after they traveled through time. It's always when there's no background music or anything. It's always when my nose is like, yo, right now. 2036, the day when she'd left. At the last second, Mayuri had looked at Suzuha and Kagari inside the time machine and smiled. It was just like the gentle smile on Suzuha's mother's face when she died protecting her daughter. Suzu, did I wake you? No, I've been up for a while. Want something to eat? Yeah. After she said yes, Suzuha snapped back to reality. She was getting weaker. When she realized that, she forced her sick body off the sofa. Her head shook, and she had to stop herself from falling forward, but she grabbed the back of the sofa and managed to stand on her own 2 feet. Oh, you shouldn't get up so quickly like that. I'm fine now. Sorry to bother you, Big Sis Mayu. It's not a bother at all, okay? Mayuri went to the kitchen and turned on the burner underneath one of the pots. The sounds and smells of bubbling stew filled the whole lab. Mayuri mixed it with a ladle and stopped every once in a while to taste it. She turned towards Suzuha and smiled. Ooh, it's a big success! Did you make it? Yup, Mayushi's getting a lot better at cooking thanks to Yuki. Where's my brother? He went to May Queen. He says he's got work after that. I see. Oh, you're thinking of going out tonight because Daru isn't here, aren't you? You can't do that. I'm fine. You're not fine. If you do that, I'll have Yuki get mad at you, okay? I can't get mad at you, but I'll make sure she does it. Hmm? What's this about me? The curtain to the bathroom opened and Yuki came out. Her skin was just a little flush. Suzu won't lay down. Oh, you know better than that, Suzu. You need to stay down for at least another day, got it? Yeah. Suzuha's answer was less than enthusiastic, but she gave in to Yuki's glare and sat back down on the sofa. Okay, now lie down. Fine. She pouted and slumped down on the sofa, then pulled the blanket on top of her. Suzuha was capable of talking back to Big Sis Mayuri, but she would never be able to talk back to Yuki. Hey. What? I was thinking how you look so cute like that. What? If Daru saw you like that, you might be in trouble. So, yeah, sometimes I wonder if you're really brother and sister. To be fair, she's right, they're not. She just wouldn't understand father and daughter. Don't be creepy. Oh, Suzuha, are you blushing? I am not blushing. Really? Of course not. Why would I be? You're blushing right now. It's so cute. It's the cutest thing, really. Shut up. Suzuha couldn't say anything, so she just had to turn away. Yeah. Okay, it's time for Mayushi to go to work. You're not going to have any stew? I'm not going to stop back here after work. I'll have some then. Okay, I'll make you a salad or something. Have dinner with us, okay? Thanks, Yuki. I'll look forward to it. Mayuri told Suzu one more time that she needed to keep lying down, then left for Queen Nanyan. Yuki went to the kitchen and added a few seasonings to the stew Mayuri made, then turned off the burner. Oh, right, Suzuha. You're covered in sweat, right? Want me to wipe you down before we eat? Huh? I told you it's fine. Yuki wanted to do stuff like that every day, and each time Suzuha frantically refused. Even if you can't take a shower, you need to at least keep yourself clean. I did it yesterday and the day before, so it's fine. It's not like going a week or two without doing it will kill you. A week? You can't do that, absolutely not. I could not go a week without showering. I could not do it. Couldn't. Absolutely. I guess if I was in like an emergency situation where there was no option, I guess I could, but no. No thank you. Yuki hurried into the shower room. Listen, I can do it myself. People who say that never end up doing it themselves. That's not... No. Yuki came back with a bowl filled with hot water and a towel. She could be stubborn when she got this way. Suzuha had learned that well over the past 3 days. Yuki was just like the mother she remembered. She slowly and uneasily stood up. And then she took off her top, trying her best not to let Yuki see her skin. We're both girls, so you don't need to be so embarrassed. I don't care, really. I'll at least wash your back, okay? That's fine, I'm not a kid. But I don't think you can do it yourself. I said it's fine. Yuki seemed a little shocked, but she quickly handed over the hot, wet towel. I'm sorry, some people don't like being touched, right? No, I'm sorry for yelling. I'll leave the hot water on the table, okay? I'm gonna go get dinner ready. Yuki walked off dejected. Once Suzuha saw that she was focused on finishing the cooking, she slid beneath the curtains into the back part of the room. She used the towel and wash bowl to wipe herself down. She couldn't let Yuki see her body. There were scars both old and new all over her, and burn marks that might never heal. To her, these wounds were like medals from the vicious battles she'd survived, and she didn't care who saw them. But she didn't want to let the mother who'd given birth to her, or rather, would give birth to her, see them. Especially not the dozens of pale white marks around her breasts. Mom. She still remembered that nightmarish day. The bullets which had killed her mom had lost their power as they passed through her organs, but still managed to dig into Suzuha's skin. And when they did, they were covered in her mother's blood and flesh. The scars would probably never heal completely. To Suzuha, they were her mother's grave. Definitely not messed up or anything, no. She shook her head to try to get the nightmare out of her mind. She took her bottoms off too and then wiped herself clean all the way down to her toes. Then she put on a new pair of underwear. It was only after she finished putting on her newly clean clothes that she felt human again. You know, you can put up a fight all you want, but it does help you feel better. When she came back, Yuki was putting bowls filled with stew and salad onto the table. Their eyes met and an awkward silence filled the room. It's ready. Yuki broke the silence first. Yeah, thanks. How much do you want? No, it's okay, I can do it myself. Suzuha put just enough stew and salad for her meal onto her own plate, and then made a plate for Yuki as well. Oh, thanks. No, I'm sorry to make you do all this cooking. Excuse me. I told you, we gotta look out for each other when we're sick. Once you're done eating, make sure you take your medicine. Okay. The two sat on the sofa and filled their mouths with stew and salad. The stew had a mild, gentle flavor. It felt like something my Eri would make. Oh, just got a tickle on the back of the throat, 1 second. Should have been drinking as I went, but that'll show me. Mayuri's gotten a lot better, hasn't she? She didn't just take something out of a can and warm it up, you know? I'm pretty impressed. Do you want to try making it too? I'll teach you. Me? I'll pass. I'm not the type. I don't think that's true. Well, maybe someday. People who say someday end up never doing it, you know? You said something similar a minute ago. Did I? Yeah. And then the conversation ceased for a time. Suzuha slurped down her stew. She had terrible manners, and tried to come up with something to talk about. This time it was Suzuha's turn to break the silence. After what she just remembered, she couldn't bear to be silent around Yuki. That song you were singing, what is that? Song? You know, when you were taking a shower? Huh? Was I singing? Wow, that's so embarrassing. I'm a terrible singer, but I love to sing, so I sometimes hum things. I don't know if it matters whether you're any good or not. I just can't remember what song it was. Neither can I, actually. Huh? I just remember the parts that were really memorable. I think it's from an educational show that was on when I was a kid or something. Yeah. Sorry, but I can't help you. Suzuha, when did you hear that song? When I was a kid, I think my mom used to sing it for me all the time. Your mom seems like a really nice person. Yeah, doesn't she? Yeah. The conversation flowed so naturally that she didn't think about how she responded. Huh? A second later, she realized what she'd said, and then she stared at her mother. Is something wrong? My mom? What do you mean? What I mean, I saw her 2 days ago. Huh? I said she came here 2 days ago. Oh, yeah, because she's... Yeah. That's impossible. Is there some reason your mom wouldn't come? Well, I mean... There was no way she could say that to her, say that her mother was right in front of her. Confused, she fell silent. Yuki, for her part, must have come to some conclusion about the reason for Suzuha's reaction. She started to stammer and fidget. I'm sorry. Huh? I didn't know. Did something happen between you and your mom? No. You got in a fight and ran away from home or something? That's not it. It was weird thinking back. Your mom just brought Hashira some food and a change of clothes and didn't say anything to you. She brought My brother? Food and clothes? Yes. Suzuha thought as hard as she could and finally reached an answer. Oh, so that's it. Yuki was talking about Itaru Yashida's mother. In other words, Suzuha's grandmother, who she'd never ever seen except in pictures. But since she told Yuki that she was Itaru's brother, it was natural that she'd make the wrong assumption. Is something wrong? No, it's nothing. If Itaru had said even a word to her about it, this wouldn't have happened. How stupid. She'd have to give him a lecture later. While Suzuha was thinking about the talking to her dad was going to get, Yuki had already started to sympathize with her imagined plight. Suzuha, you can talk to me at any time. We can talk about whatever you want. For some reason her eyes were starting to well up. Oh, thank you. Suzuha didn't know how to react to this, but she felt a little embarrassed. Mom really is a nice person. Just like she told Itaru, this place was too comfortable. She was starting to imagine that this life would continue forever. But sending this brief, happy time beyond the horizon of the world line was supposed to be Suzuha's mission. If she didn't, this world would be destroyed. Ah, hey, May Queen Nyan Nyan. Welcome back, Meowster. Gonna be all meows from here on in. As I walked into the maid cafe, May Queen Nyan Nyan, the cat-eared maids working there greeted me cheerfully. It was a weekday evening, so there were more open seats than usual. Welcome back, Kyoma. I mean, Ocarine. Oh, is Mayuri here today? Mayushi will be here soon, yeah? About 30 minutes? I see. Mayuri had been working here for a while now. Her maid name was Mayushi Nyan Nyan. When she was a maid, she wore a long blonde wig and cat ears, and looked very different from her usual self. Daru called me. Is he here yet? Yep, at his usual spot. I looked towards the back corner and saw a silhouette sitting next to the window with the sun at his back. Oh, and I've got someone with me today. They've never been to a maid cafe before. Can you keep them company until Daru and I finish? Meow meow? Who could that be, meow? Hey, Yajo, over here. I called to Maho. She was fidgeting outside the store, apparently unwilling to come in. Meow, Ogrine's with a cute girl, meow. Wait, is that really that surprising? And from her height, she's either in elementary school or middle school. She is not. I can't believe it. You've already got Ferris, but instead you went out and found a new lover. A new lowly lover, Nyan. I did not. She's from an American university and she's here for research. My only choice is to denounce you at the round table, Nyan. Listen to me. What are you talking about? Maho had finally made it inside, and she was staring at me and Ferris with suspicious eyes. I'd gone with Maho to the police to talk about the attack again. After that, we both realized we hadn't eaten, so I brought her here. Ferris stood up to her full height, gave a cute little bow, and then did one of her cat-like poses. Welcome back, Meowstress. At this cafe, we don't say welcome, we say welcome back, nya. Oh, so that's it. I'm Ferris Nyan Nyan Nyan. What's your name, mistress? Nyan Nyan Nyan. You needed the extra nyan at the end of the two nyans. Maho Hyajo. Hyajo? So you're from Okinawa, yeah? Oh, I'm amazed you knew that. People always either ask me to repeat it or just get it wrong, but you knew it was from Okinawa. Of course, nya. 3 lives ago, I was the spirit guardian of the land of Patrioma, which lies beyond the horizon of the Ryukyu Kingdom, yeah? Legendary island, whose name written in kanji means the island between the shining summer waves. It is said to be even further south than Hataruma Island, the southernmost occupied island of Japan. In Okinawan, Pai means south, Pati means end, and Roma means coral reef. So put together it means the southernmost coral reef. The Okinawan faith has always believed that beyond the sea lies a mythical utopia called Nirai Kani. And Patroma is believed to be a variant of this. Another explanation says that geographically, It could refer to to Taiwan or Luzon Island, but the truth of both theories is unknown. Another island in the Yaeyama Island chain, Yonaguni Island, has a belief in a legendary island called Idona. This shows how deeply the Niraikani belief is embedded in this area. The kingdom that would later become modern Okinawa. The country had a long history that stretched over 4.5 centuries, and served as a major trading point in the Asian region. The capital was located in Naha at Shuri Castle. High-ranking noble families called Wikata built castles called Gusuku on top of mountains and hills and ruled over their own local areas. In 1609 they were invaded by Satsuma province and were forced to pay tribute both to Satsuma and the Edo shogunate. Even so, the kingdom was allowed to keep its independent status, but in 1879 the Restoration government forced it to hand over Shuri Castle, and it officially became a part of Japan. Religious rituals played an extremely important role in the life of the kingdom of Ryukyu. Those rituals were held by priestesses called Noro. There you go, history lesson. Huh? That's right, the voices of we spirits were brought to the people by the Noro, and we made the kingdom prosper, nya. Festivals and religious rituals play an important role in Okinawan life, and it's always the job of a woman to lead them. This school of thought that says that it's the woman that speaks with the gods is one found all around the world. During the time when Okinawa was still its own independent kingdom, the royal government specifically designated priestesses called Noro, who had greater authority than even the high-ranking nobles. Excuse me. The most important of them, the Kikoe no Okimi, the great lady who hears and prospers, was second in rank only to the king, and her influence extended even into politics and judicial matters. Since the Noro were an official rank of the Okinawan kingdom, the only remnants now that the kingdom is gone are a few of their descendants. Thus, it is civilian priestesses and spiritualists called Yuta that perform modern rituals. Again, more history. But the raging sea gods invaded Paipatiroma, and at last we, she's actually crying. I'm sorry, what is she talking about? Oh, it's a special dialect spoken exclusively by the people of Akihabara. Is that right? Yeah, think about it too much and your head will explode. It already feels like it's about to explode. Anyway, just wait a minute, I need to talk to my friend over there. I pointed to Naru, and when she saw him by the window, her eyes narrowed. Something wrong? He's a pretty big guy. I'll introduce you later. Tell him to lose some weight. Okay, Mahonyan, I'll take you to your seat. Another maid had just finished cleaning a table. Mahonyan? Isn't it cute now? I'd prefer something more normal. This is normal, Nyan. Now come this way, Mahonyan. Oh yeah, that would be so rude. Hey, nice to meet you. You should lose some weight. Wait, what? Maho remained dead silent as she was led to a seat near where Daru was sitting. I headed to Daru's table too. I sat across from him and ordered some coffee from a nearby maid. I'm disappointed in you, Ocarina. Normals must explode. Don't say the same thing as Ferris. It's not like that. What do you mean it's not like that? She's a legal loli. And not only is she really cute, I love how she seems unrefined. Ocarina, you jerk. Don't tell her that. She's scary when she's mad. I glanced over at Maho, who was staring at the menu and trying her best to keep up with Ferris. I told you about her on the phone, right? She was with me when I was attacked. She's Dr. Leskinen's assistant. That stuff doesn't matter. The issue here is that you get to go around with cute girls and I don't. Then go do it. Go on a date or something. Was that sarcasm? Wow, you really are a jerk, Ocarina. It wasn't. Why not ask out Yuki? Wait, you're not telling me you haven't even approached her yet? It's fine, I plan to become a wizard. There's an urban legend that if a man is still a virgin past the age of 30, he becomes a wizard. It's also said that further training can make him into a fairy. Yep, just gotta hit that 30-year mark. You get your robe and wizard cap. That's it. That's all you need. Hey, that's not a good idea. Suzuha will never be born. I don't have a good comeback for that. You like Yuki, right? Sure, she's pretty, and her thighs and the curve of her neck make me pant. Specific things to latch on to, but you know, you do you. Stop it, pervert. I'm not a pervert, I'm a perverted gentleman. I don't care which you are, I'm talking about romance here. Daru leaned over the table and sipped his iced tea through a straw. I don't really understand that stuff. Jeez, what are you, a little kid? Is this today's you don't get to talk thread? We stared at one another. He was right. When it came to romance, I didn't really have the right to talk. Well, whatever. This isn't what I wanted to talk to you about. True, get to it. Yeah, you see, there are two things I wanted to discuss. Here, Daru stopped and casually looked around. I don't know why I got the stupid tickle in the back of the throat. Probably not drinking enough throughout the day. There we go. There weren't many people in the cafe. Oh, the caf? That's definitely supposed to be cafe. And thanks to Ferris, there was no one sitting near us. As long as we didn't yell, there was no risk of being overheard. I realized that the old me's habits were coming back. Was it because I had just gone through something out of a Hollywood movie? First, I want you to keep this a secret from Mayuri, but I'm looking for someone. A secret from Mayuri? That's right. Why? Oh, well, you know. He seemed reluctant to speak. You've known her since you were kids, right? Does she have any friends named Kagari? Kagari? Of course, I didn't know every single one of her friends, but I'd never heard that name. No, not as far as I know. Then forget the name. Were there any girls that she was especially close to? Well, let me see. There was a group of kids she used to play with in elementary school. I told Daru their names. Of course, he knew all her friends since high school. She was especially close to Fubuki and Kaide from her cosplay group, as well as Ferris and the other maids at May Queen Yanyan. There was also Luca, even if he wasn't a girl. That's all I can tell you. I don't know much more than you do, sorry. No, that's plenty, thanks. Daru took out a smartphone and wrote down the names of the girls I'd given him. Why don't you ask Mayuri herself? Well, there's some stuff going on. And who is this Kagari anyway? Why are you looking for her? Daru was unconsciously tapping the table. He seemed to be deciding how best to explain it. Actually, it's not me who's looking for her. It's Suzuha. Suzuha? Why would she be looking for a friend of Mayuri's? No, wait, if Suzuha was involved, that means Mayuri's future is involved. Is that why she can't tell Mayuri? Yeah, I like how his glasses got more opaque because he was more serious. Just haven't saved it a bit. Her name is Kagari Shina. Shina? Yup. A relative of Mayuri's or something? No, well, maybe? She's Mayushi's daughter. Oh. You said it so naturally that I almost missed it. I see. Her daughter. Huh? Her daughter. What does daughter mean again? Daughter. Mayuri's daughter. Mayuri's daughter. You're too loud. I swallowed my words as best as I could. Is that true? Yeah, but not her real daughter. I guess she was a war orphan that Mayushi adopted? A war orphan? I couldn't even imagine what chain of events in the future would bring that about. But it sounded a lot like something Mayuri would do. Even in the worst world line, Mayuri would still know the joy of having a child. Maybe it was wrong, but that still made me feel a little better. But at the same time, I felt a little worried about whether she could raise a kid. But isn't that weird? Why would Mayuri's daughter be here in this time? She escaped from 2036 along with Suzuha, it looks like. What? But when she stopped in Akihabara in 1998 for a mission, they got separated. Suzuha searched as hard as she could, but never found her. And she left her in 1998? I guess someone almost found the time machine while she was searching. She had to jump and leave Kagari behind. Afterwards, she kept trying to jump forward a few months at a time and look for her, but once she got to the year 2000, she started to run out of fuel. And so she jumped to 2010 to fulfill her real mission? I finished his sentence and Taro nodded. But even after coming here, she's still looking. So, do you think you could ask Miss Mayu without letting her know what's up? Me? Whether someone around her age came to see her about 10 years ago, or something like that? Oh, yeah, sure, I'll ask. I could find her. I wanted to. Adopted or not, she was the future Mayuri's daughter, and I felt a little guilty about things with Suzuha. I wanted to help if I could. Just then, the maid brought my coffee. As I drank it, I looked over to Maho's seat. Ferris had barely left her alone for an instant. Alright, I'll put a magic spell on your pancakes to make them taste even better, Nya. Magic? Say it with me, Maho-nyan. The world is in danger, Nya. It's a conspiracy, Nya. That's the magic words. Can I just eat my pancakes normally? I feel like Ferris, much like a normal cat, knows people who don't like cats or are allergic and latches on instinctively. Because that's what a cat would do. So that's what she's doing. This is normal here, Nya. Or she's trying to show her that, like, this is fun and just have a good time. Now enjoy your pancakes, Nya. Thanks. Oh, Mom-nyan, it's dripping. The honey is dripping. Huh? What? Oh, jeez. You're like a little baby. A baby? They looked like they were having a good time. I turned back to Daru. So, that's the first one. What's the second? Yeah, I don't know if I should ask you this, but... Oh, come on, man. Maybe I really shouldn't. He just mumbled to himself and didn't say anything. It was rare for Daru to hesitate like this. Come on, out with it. If I don't want to answer, I'll just won't. Okay, then. His hand went for his smartphone. Huh? Ryan? Make a call. Let's check Amadeus. Nope, doesn't let us. This is about my secret job, so let's use this. So the secret job of yours? Shh. Daru cut me off and pointed at my phone. I guess he wanted me to use it. Was this something even more secret than what we just talked about? Secret job, you mean you're hacking? Yeah, basically. It's not all illegal stuff, though. I make online systems for manufacturers and banks, build and admin servers, boring things like that. Oh, and I do virus analysis and make security software. There's data recovery, oh, and making new encryption tech, too. Seriously? So like a system engineer? Nothing formal like that, but we got a bit of a reputation, oops. Our group gets jobs from all over the world. I call myself Dash. Yeah, we know. What's that short for? I can't tell you. Why? I just can't. I don't think I can help you with that. You were close to Krisu Makise, right? Huh? What do you mean? I want some help with her. I've hit a dead end with this job I'm doing. Job you're doing? What do you mean? Sorry, never mind. Oh, no, Daru said that to me directly. I was about to put away his phone. Wait. If you stop here, I'm going to be so busy thinking about that, I won't be able to sleep at night. But don't worry about me, man. That just makes it worse. Fine. He whispered and sent me another message on Ryan. Someone brought in a laptop and a portable hard drive to us a while back. Both of them have really strong full-disk encryption on them and can't be booted without a password. Of course, you can't take the hard drive out and connect it to another PC either. The client hit up a bunch of places with no luck and finally came to us. Is encryption that strong? I've heard that even full-disk encryption can be broken by a pro. Not happening with this one. You know why? We were the ones who made it, baby. Huh? You guys made it? Then you can't deal with it yourself? I'm a believer that encryption needs to be a poison without an antidote, or there's no point. So you don't know how to break the code even though you made it. Exactly. If we can break it, then other hackers who are just as good at us can break it too, right? And that's no good, duh. I see. And don't call me a super hacker. It's short for Otsukare-sama, which means good work or way to go, in its slang. An extraordinarily talented hacker, or someone who claims to be one, also used as a threat when an argument on an anonymous message board gets out of hand. For example, my buddy is a super hacker and he'll hack you and find out your real name. From here, the term grew to refer to extremely talented hackers who clearly do not exist. I didn't. But what's this got to do with Krisu? The laptop and hard drive belong to Krisu Makise. What? So, Krisu's belongings. I wanted to ask Dara directly, but stopped myself. Something seemed weird about the client, so I hit up the PC manufacturer's user registration database. How I did that is a secret, BT dubs. And I found that it was registered under her name. Same address too. It's definitely her. Who brought you the computer? Why would they have Krisu's computer? Sorry, the rules say I can't tell you that. Are they Russian? Huh? Nope. Why Russia? Nakabachi? No, if it's not, then fine. So what do you want me to do? I want a hint, man. Do you know any words that Krisu might use for her password? I can't brute force the password, so I have to do it the hard way. Tried her birthdays, graduation dates, and stuff. Addresses and phone, too. Not that I can imagine her picking them for a password. Also, any words commonly used in brain science or frequently used in her papers. I got all that data. Now I'm trying stuff from her private life. Felt like the grave of someone I cared about was being violated. What kind of words did I associate with Krisu's private life anyway? Kuri Gohan and Kamehameha? My fork? Maybe something to do with her dad? I tried to remember more about Krisu, but when I did, I started to think about her last moments. Quickly shut down that train of thought. Sorry, can you give me a little time? I can't come up with anything that quickly. Yeah, Roger, just tell me if you remember something. And I'm not forcing you. If you remember and you don't want to tell me, that's fine. Yeah. I sighed and gulped down my cold coffee. Aw. Ocarine, I told you we're having a Christmas party at the lab today, did you remember? Gotta have the Christmas outfits. Mayuri's voice sounded really excited. Yeah, of course. Of course she did. Mayuri had spent a lot of time preparing for this day. She was probably really looking forward to it. Well, do you think you can come? I'll be there. It's at 6 o'clock, right? Yep. Are you at the university right now? Nah, Wako City. I'm at what's basically a lab. It belongs to a professor I know. Wow, Wako City? She had no idea where Wako City was, did she? Will you make it? I'll be fine. Great, I'll be waiting. Her voice got fainter on the phone for a second, and I heard the other girls. Ocarine, all the girls today are wearing Santa outfits and waiting for you. We're waiting, yeah? We're waiting. Come on, you too, Luca. What? I'm not a girl. Luca's cosplaying too. I'm sorry. I'll take it off. I'll take it off right now. Oh, what a waste. It looks so good on you. You guys are having a lot of fun, huh? That's the whole point of a party, yes. Huh? We're getting ready right now. Mayushi's in a super short Santa miniskirt and she looks really cute. By the way. Uh-oh. Oh. Huh, what are you talking about, Fubuki? Uh-oh. I'm sorry, she's being weird. Anyway, we're waiting, okay? Yeah. Alright, see you later. Sounded like the party had already begun at the lab. With all those girls there, I'm sure they were having a good time. Luca, you're the only guy. Hang in there. I chuckled and put away the phone. It sounded like they were having a good time. It was Maho who spoke to me. Actually, only Maho and I were in the room. I'm going to my friend's Christmas party today. Oh, it's that time of year, come to think of it. Yeah, Christmas Eve. You don't seem like the type to be interested in that stuff. Not really, since I came here. I spent all my time in this room, and the only people I see lately are the police. I tried to force a laugh at Maho's joke and looked around the room. It was dead silent. The exact opposite of the noisy lab I just heard on the other end of the phone, in fact. Nothing had changed since the first time I'd come, which meant that it was still only Maho and Dr. Leskinen that were working here. and the professor had been meeting with different researchers all the time since he'd come to Japan, so I wasn't spending much time in the lab. Did that mean Maho was spending most of her time cooped up in here alone? Well, that's normal for scientists, I guess, but... Do you want to come too? After what happened, she probably needed a chance to blow off some steam. Me? Don't worry about me. I feel more relaxed when I'm doing my work alone. It means I don't have to deal with other people. Is that how it works? Krisu had said something similar. Krisu, huh? Anyway, let's get to the point. That's right, I hadn't come all the way to Maho's lab to make small talk. You said you wanted to apologize to Krisu, right? Yeah. And that's why you came to me? Yes. Why? It's hard for me to talk to her on my own. So you want me to be a mediator? I guess so, yeah. You're a weird guy. Maho's reaction surprised me. Was I that weird? The last time we talked, well, part of it was because I was freaking out, but I kinda hung up on her. Knowing Krisu's personality, she's mad, I'm sure of it. And since I'm still kind of connected to her, I've got this invisible pressure bearing down on me every minute of the day. Dr. Leskinen had been trying to help me out, but I would have felt better if he just stripped me the access. Does it really bother you that much? You know, Krisu was told not to contact you, right? Yeah, but I don't want our relationship to end with a fight. I never wanted to go through what I had experienced in the Alpha world line again. And that world line, I'd never been able to figure out what she was trying to tell me at the end. Well, whatever. If you want me to talk to her too, I will. So let's get this over with. Thanks. It's Christmas Eve, so why not say something nice? Yeah, you're right. Not that I had any idea what nice would be. What's wrong? Hurry up. Just tap the icon on your phone and it'll connect whenever. The professor told you he left you with access rights, right? You're really a pain, aren't you? Fine. Huh? I can't believe you actually contacted me again, huh? What's going on? What? Oh, she totally wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Hey. Hello, Rintaro Okabe. Do you need something from me? I thought you didn't want to talk to me anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, well... My eyes glanced towards Maho for help. Krisu, he wants to talk to you. Can you hear him out? I didn't say I wasn't going to. I was just checking to see if he still didn't want to talk to me. Oh, she was mad. I knew it. Come on, hurry up. Yeah. I took a single deep breath and lifted up the phone. I'm sorry. I bowed my head. You were nice enough to talk to someone like me, and I betrayed your kindness. And I know it was rude of me to just suddenly hang up the last time we talked. I was remembering some personal stuff that had happened, and I was a mess, but that's got nothing to do with you. I at least wanted to apologize before I quit my job as a tester. That's all. Krisu was chuckling the same way Maho had just done. Are you serious? What? How can you laugh when I'm giving you a real apology? Because, well, I'm an AI, right? But still, you've got this somber look on your face, and you're apologizing so seriously. The last time we spoke, you said talking to me was embarrassing, right? You're weird. Was it weird to apologize to an AI and mean it? It probably was. Fine. To be honest, I was a little disappointed in you, but this makes me change my mind. If you'll agree to my one condition, I'll forget all about it. Condition? What's she going to make me do? I had a bad feeling about this. Okay, let's hear it. I want you to take Maho out to dinner today. Huh? Huh? Maho's eyes and mine went wide. Wait, Krisu, what are you talking about? Don't you know what day it is today? Christmas Eve. Exactly. Exactly what exactly? So what'll it be, Okabe? Yes or no? Why does she look so excited? Fine. Hyajo, I'm officially inviting you to that party I was just telling you about. Please come. Party? I'm getting together with some friends for a Christmas party. That's not what I meant. But maybe dinner for two is too much to ask right off the bat. Maybe this is better? Krisu, if you keep teasing me, I'm going to get mad. I'm not going to any party. Then I'm not going to forgive Okabe. Hyajo, please. Why are we talking about this? Trying to help you out here. Listen. Anyway, I need to wait for the professor to get here and give him my report. Hey, Lintalo, Maho, what are you talking about? Dr. Leskinen walked in at the perfect moment. Maho looked relieved and went to open the file on her desk. Welcome back, Professor. Here's the data for today. Maho, hold it. You guys want to go somewhere? It's Christmas Eve. Let's put our work away and go get some food. Or did you already have something planned? Nice job, Professor. Huh? Nice. Professor, my friends are having a Christmas party. If you'd like to come, you're more than... Wonderful! I'd love to! Didn't even get to finish my sentence. Of course Maho will be coming too, yes? That was the moment when Maho's last hope of escape was cut off. Meddler AI, absolutely. Then it settled. Krisu smiled mischievously from within the screen. She was quite the plotter. The real Krisu used to do silly things like this too. Hey, Okabe? When she called my name, I gasped. Thanks for apologizing to someone like me. It made me very happy. Oh, no. If you want, we can talk anytime, if you're bored or something. I feel like it, maybe. Yeah, bye. Take good care of Maho. Wink. Awkward. Are you satisfied? Yeah. I felt more relieved than I thought I would. I realized that I really did love Krisu Makise. But is it really that weird to apologize to an AI? My friend, you know, the guy you met at May Queen, is always on his knees begging to girls on a computer screen. To be fair, that's weird. Just because Daru does it doesn't mean it's not weird. I don't really understand why someone would do that. Uh-oh, that freaked her out. Bad example. Anyway, you really have helped me out, Hyajo. You don't really need to do what Krisu told you to. Well, but the professor seems really excited about going. The professor flashed his white teeth at me. And I promised Krisu. You really are weird. But even as she said it, she was smiling. I guess she decided to go to the party. Gotta have a good Christmas party. No, Big Sis Suzuha, you can't do that. You can't change the world. You're not making sense. You can't erase this world. I won't let you. There were bullet marks in the inside of the time machine. Suzuha traced them with her fingers and remembered what had happened here. That was the last time she had talked to Kagari. She'd never been able to find her after that. Suzuha, what's wrong? You're spacing out. Do you not feel well? Huh? Suzuha looked back and saw her father, Itaru. He seemed worried. He was holding a bolt in his hand and offering it to her. Oh, sorry, I'm fine. She nodded and took the bolt. They were on top of the radio building, where a cold wind was blowing. A light was shining down on the rear of the time machine, where the engine was. Her head was inside as she did maintenance work. Itaru was wandering about in the background. Normally, she would never let him near the time machine, but today he'd absolutely insisted on coming. What kind of dad wouldn't be worried about his daughter when she just got really sick? You know. Suzuha spent the last several days unable to stand up because she hadn't taken care of herself. There was nothing she could say back to him. Listen, I won't touch the space-time shifter or gravity control or anything dangerous, so will you let me help? No. I'm probably better than you are at mechanical stuff. I know that, but no. Ugh. Itaru slumped forward, dejected, but Suzuha had no intention of discussing it. Listen, Suzuha, it's dark and it's late. We should do the rest tomorrow. Let's go home. You can go home by yourself, Dad. I've still got work to do. Are you going out to look for Kagari-tan again? Okarin says he'll help, so you don't need to do it all by yourself, do you? You just got over your cold. You should put off the search for a little while. That made her feel a little mad. I didn't want you telling Uncle Okarin without asking me first. Suzuha had told Itaru that she was spending every day looking for Kagari. It was only later that she'd found out he told Rintaro. It wasn't a problem, but her relationship with Rintaro was already a bit strained, and this only made it harder for her to ask him to get back in the time machine. Anyway, you look like you've been having a bad time. There's a bolt here that's hard to turn. Which, I'll do it for you. You can at least let me do that much, right? Yeah. Suzuha pulled her head out of the engine unit. You're covered in oil. Your pretty face is ruined. Say that stuff to Mom. That's asking too much. Itaru stuck his face inside the machine and began to look around. Oh, from the way this is laid out, that pipe was probably added on later. Take the pipe off. There's probably coolant or something going through it, so use this valve to empty it first. I don't think this machine was designed with maintenance in mind. You've got that right. Oh, Wapita. Acronym for what a pain in the ass. Who do you think made this? Me. Taru sighed and started to concentrate on his work. He did his job silently, twisting his massive body to the left and right. Watching him, Suzuha remembered her childhood. When she was younger, she loved watching her dad make the time machine. Dad? Yeah? Lately, I'm starting to not understand myself anymore. This may be a weird thing to think, but is it really okay to erase this world? Her mind flashed back to young Kagari's screams. You can't erase this world, huh? She'd never forgotten the look in Kagari's eyes, and she'd never been able to shake the feeling that they were watching her somehow. If my mission succeeds, Krisu Makase won't die, and the door to Steins Gate will open. Yeah. And that means that this world, you, Mom, Big Sis Mayu, and Big Sis Rumi, and Uncle Okarin, none of this will have ever happened. Yeah. The me that's here right now will never have met you. Hmm? Is this the scene where you confess your love? Should I save my game? Do you know what? Fine. We'll save the game. They've both been Daru saves, past ones. Suzuha said nothing, then poked her dad's calf with her toes. I'm being serious. One more joke and I'll kick you. You're not sure what to do. Well, you know, is it really that big a deal? Huh? Who cares if this present disappears? I mean, a lot of people are going to die after this, right? I don't want that to happen. Dad, you're overthinking things. You don't want a war, so you're going to change the world. Isn't it better when it's simple like that? And anyway, I don't want to go to war. I'm not like you. I'm me, so I wouldn't last 3 days on the battlefield. Such a wimp. I'm disappointed. That's what he was trying to say. Yeah, he wouldn't last 3 days. Suzuha sighed, turned around, and started to walk away. Huh? Where are you going? Going to wash my face. It's covered in oil. Once you've tightened that bolt, close up the cover. I'm going to take your suggestion and not look for Kagari today. Okay, that's great. Let's go home together. Yeah. Suzuha looked up at the moon, shining in the cloudy winter sky. She let out a puff of white breath. The white breath danced in the air for a moment and then disappeared into the cold. Dad? Hmm? I was lying when I said I was disappointed. You're not the kind of person who takes a gun into battle. That's not who you were in the future. It was always your job to run away. What? Future me sounds like a loser. But that's fine. In the future, you've got another battle to fight, and that's why we're all here with you. Suzuha? So don't get any weird ideas, okay? Give up the idea that Japan is safe. Uncle Okarin was just attacked. You could be attacked at any moment, too. The war is coming, and very soon. For about 2 weeks now, someone had been watching Suzuha in the time machine. It was clear that some great power was on the move.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. Suzuha nodded, satisfied at Itaru's answer, and went to the bathroom to wash her face. Aw, it's all festive. I like how even the Upa cushion gets a Santa hat. The lab was filled with Santas, just like I'd heard on the phone. And all of them were wearing miniskirts. Oh, it's Ocarine. Gotta have the festive picture. He's here, Nya. Everything's ready. Hey there, Merry Christmas. Good evening, Ocarine. Hi. The sight of so many girls in a small room like this, all wearing Santa miniskirts, threatened to overwhelm me. And then there's Luca. I was trouble deciding where to look when Lukako staggered in front of me. Okabe. Lukako? What are you wearing, man? I didn't expect a Santa in black. And wasn't he exposing an awful lot of skin? It was really erotic. But he's a guy. Okabe, I... Lukako, I'm glad you survived. It must have been hard being the only guy. I gave him a pat on the shoulder and he smiled, relieved. I wanted to wear a Santa outfit too. Oh hey, look, it's Nai. Slightly younger than the last time we saw her. Okay, next year I'll make one for you too. Really? Yep. Thanks, Big Sis Mayuri. The casual, like 10 years earlier, you know. Okay, Ocarine, come in, come in. Where are Daru and Suzuha? Demon Child. Yeah, pots will be summoned by the Demon Child. I believe it's Among Us night though, so maybe they'll be here after, maybe not. They might be busy. No word yet. The biggest goal today was to get Suzuha to participate. It was no exaggeration to say that that's why Mayuri had held this party. By the way, who are your guests? I told them earlier that I was bringing Dr. Leskinen and Maho. I brought the two of them inside. I'll introduce you. This is Dr. Leskinen.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Wow! They're all very impressed. Oh my. He's big! Oh, duh, because he's a tall foreigner. Thank you, cute little lady. But Daddy's bigger, I believe it. I'm pretty sure Mr. Braun could just bench press anybody in this game. Oh man, we need a mod of Guilty Gear with Mr. Braun as Potemkin so we can have him Potemkin bustering people. Because I'd believe it. And this is Maho Hyajo. Hi, nice to meet you. I like how that's Mayuri's just go-to sound for any new person she meets. Wow. Or just everyone's. Oh my. Maho-nyan, we meet again. Oh, it's the Nyan-nyan girl. Are you in elementary school? Middle school? Oh, Nai. She doesn't mean anything bad, she's just a kid. I'm actually a grown-up. Oh, sorry. Maho's smile froze on her face. Mayuri, what do you think? They're both perfect. She's thinking of all kinds of ideas. Everyone is trying to ship Okabe and Maho. I should have gotten some smaller sizes ready. Nai could have worn one too. It's the biggest mistake of Mayushi's life, or that. The biggest mistake of her life is not having a smaller sized Santa outfit. I would have wanted to see the two of them as little Santas. Oh, that's the... okay. They just wanted to see both of them as in Santa outfits too. Yeah. Mayuri had her in her sights then. There was no escape from Maho now. Mayuri was so stubborn, she'd even managed to convince the legendarily shy Lukako. What about the professor? I've never made an outfit for someone that tall. Just having him there would guarantee a win, though. Maybe a fluffy reindeer outfit with a red nose. Maybe? Maybe not? Wait, were they seriously going to dress the professor up as a reindeer? Hey, Mayuri, you shouldn't assume that everyone will understand your cosplay hobby. Oh, that's right, it's not good to force people. But lately, even the employees at the convenience stores dress up as Santas for Christmas. Christmas and Komima are two very different things, aren't they? Or so you say, but basically you want to dress the two of them up in Santa outfits, don't you? So Maho, do you want Mayushi to lend you a Santa outfit? The first words you said to her. Mayuri was already going after her. Maho refused as forcefully as she could, but Dr. Leskinen was surprisingly interested. He'd been trying to put on a triangular paper party hat. Oh, I just got a message from Daru. He's almost here, and Suzu's with him. Mayuri was looking at her smartphone. It looked like Daru had pulled it off. I guess he really was Suzuha's dad. This meant we'd succeeded in our biggest objective, which meant it was on to the next mission. We'd all decided that we were going to surprise Suzuha. Suzuha didn't know that we were all waiting for her. We each grabbed a noisemaker and got into position. Dr. Leskinen and Maho helped too. Maho seemed unsure, but Dr. Leskinen was more than willing to participate. I'm turning off the lights, Nya. I wonder if Suzu will like it. You never get to see Suzuha look surprised, but she actually really likes sweets, Nya. And she's really nice. When I said hi a little while ago, she said hi back. Yeah, I wish I could get along with her too. You will, it'll be fine. You two are perfect for each other. And then we heard Daru's voice from outside the window, in the alley below the building. Okay, I'm going inside. I'm sure she would never expect a surprise party with lines like that. I'm going inside with Suzuha. His voice was loud and unnaturally expository. Once he got below the lab, he was supposed to give a signal. Everything was going as planned. We all went shh at each other in the darkness. I could hear 2 sets of footsteps coming up the stairs. Everyone held their breath and waited. The timing was critical. But would she be able to figure it out before we acted? The room was filled with different smells, like the girl's perfume and the aroma of the food they'd made. Didn't Suzuha always notice these things more quickly than an ordinary person would? I started to get worried. And then I heard the sound of the front door opening. Huh? Nobody's here today then? Well, some days are like that. Daru, you idiot, your voice is shaking. I got even more nervous. Was it time yet? Where was the signal? Felt like my hands were going to slip and trigger the noisemaker too early. My palms were soaked with sweat. I could tell Suzuha was taking off her shoes. Now, Nya! Ferris gave the signal. The second the lights went on, we all activated our noisemakers. I could see Suzuha flinch for just an instant. But I couldn't follow what happened after that. Yeah, you know, maybe loud gunshot-sounding noisemakers for somebody who's been in wars, you know. But it's fine. That's how fast she was. She dropped down, sprung off the floor, and leapt towards Yuki, who happened to be standing in front of her. She might have broken Yuki's jaw with the base of her palm before I could shout at her to stop. Yeah. Also, hey Sora, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. Also, bye Sora. Fortunately, Yuki had been surprised by Suzuha's sudden charge and had slipped when she tried to step back. Because of this, Suzuha's palm barely missed Yuki's nose as it sliced through the air. Stop it, Suzuha! By the time I'd finally shouted, it was all over. Suzuha had grabbed Yuki before she fell down and was holding her up. Yuki, Suzuha, and all the rest of us were too stunned to speak. That was close. If the timing of events had been even slightly different, Yuki could have been badly hurt. Stop now! Merry Christmas! Oh my Gary. Everyone finally realized what had happened and began to panic. Yuki simply lay in Suzuha's arms, blinking her eyes. Okay, Daru's face is the... No, all the faces are good. What are you doing? No, I take it back. It's Ferris. Ferris tops it. The Daru is very good. Suzuha seemed to snap back to reality. She was looking around at everyone. I said Merry Christmas, Suzu. Merry Christmas? Yeah. But wow, that scared me. Those were amazing moves. It was too fast for me to follow. Yuki, are you okay? Suzuha was looking around the room. Did she still not understand what was going on? Did she not realize it was a party since she'd never been to one before? The walls and ceiling were covered in wreaths and ribbons. There was a folding table filled with food, cakes, snacks, and drinks. A party? I'm sorry, it was my idea to make it a surprise. Yuki backed away from Suzuha and started to bow apologetically. Suzuha, this is, we wanted to make it a surprise. We didn't mean to scare you. Suzuha? Dad, brother, did you know about this? Yeah. I see. That's why you were acting kind of weird today. I'm sorry, Suzu. It was Mayushi who planned it all, so don't get mad at Yuki or Daru. Get mad at Mayushi. Oh, come on, big sis Mayu. Do I always get mad like that? Suzuha looked around the room again. Wow, it's hard to believe this is the same lab. Right? We all decorated it together. Yeah, it's really amazing. It's pretty. Suzuha laughed half-heartedly and began backing towards the door. Where are you going? Huh? Where? You guys are having a party, right? I don't want to get in the way. Come on, brother. You know I don't belong in a place like this. That's not true, Nyan. Let's all have a party together, Nyan. Huh? But I've never done this stuff before. It's just have fun and eat food and talk, so come on, okay? Mayuri grabbed Suzuha's hand tightly to keep her from getting away. Big sis Mayu? Come on, we got a seat for you too, Suzuha. But I really don't know what to do. Just sit down, okay? Suzu? If you don't party, Mayuri will be sad. Mayuri half-dragged Suzuha over to the seat next to me and forced her to sit down. Okay, every kitty, the gang's all here now, Nya. Ferris. Yeah, she was trying to just nonchalantly back away. Just round of applause, everyone. She's literally the person the party was being thrown for, and she was like, "It's Homer into the hedge." Everybody started to applaud at Fubuki's signal. Daru played some Christmas carol. Do you know what? Don't I have that? I swear there's a Twitch emote for that. Or like one of the holiday ones? Yeah, it's specifically Santa. Yeah, alright. Daru played some Christmas carols on the computer. The grim atmosphere that had begun to fill the room was banished. I felt a little relieved. Okay, let's start with a toast, Nyan. Pour your favorite drink into your glass, Nyan. Everyone started to look at the various drinks on the table. Here, Suzuha. Suzuha still looked like she was feeling as though she didn't belong, so I poured her some non-alcoholic champagne. Oh, yeah. I really don't think I can do this. Why? Because I didn't come to this area to play. The reason she came to this area, huh? I didn't have the right to say anything about that. I was the only reason she was stuck here, unable to fulfill her task. But even so, is it so bad to do this once in a while? But Suzuha, you think too much. Daru joined the conversation. All you're doing is having a meal with everyone. You're hungry either way, right? Well, that would be a yes. Maybe Daru's statement caused her to realize it because her stomach rumbled. See? Everybody made a lot of food for you, so just say thanks and eat it. Everybody, you all got your drinks ready, Nya? Alright, let's have a word from Mayushi, who put this party together, Nya. Huh? Mayuri stood up flustered. As she stood, she bumped into Lukako, who was standing next to her. The two of them almost spilled their drinks. Sorry, Luka. Mayuri, calm down. Okay. Mayuri started to take deep breaths. It's Christmas Eve today. There's normals out everywhere today, but this year, let's have a party and be normals ourselves. No, I don't think that's what normal means, Mayushi. Fubuki whispered a little sad. A bunch of people asked Fubuki out on Christmas dates. You should have seen them all. They were all younger girls, though. Anyway, if everybody has a good time, Mayushi will be happy. That's all. Mayuri gave a little bow and smiled to Suzuha. Suzuha answered with an expression that wasn't quite a smile. Okay, everybody, cheers, Nya. Mahanyan, you give the toast. What? Me? You came all the way out here, so why not give a toast and introduce yourself? As you do. Maho stood up with a slight frown and thought for a moment before she opened her mouth. Thank you all for having me today. Dr. Leskinen and I are from America, so we've never spent Christmas in Japan before. And I'm finding out that spending a cheerful Christmas with friends is also a great... Say something interesting, Nya. Huh? Something interesting, Nya. What, Ferris, you're crazy. Uh-oh, she was totally losing it. She's worse than Mayuri had been a moment ago. It was hard to believe I'd seen her interpreting in front of that huge crowd at ATF. Was she this bad at ad-libbing? Meow? Maho's desperate attempt at something interesting was cute, but honestly a little embarrassing. It felt like watching a small, adorable animal. Oh, Mahonyan, you've got what it takes to be a cat-eared maid! Yep, this is the birth of Mahuri Nyanyan. Ferris and Mayuri were the only ones who seemed really impressed. Ah, what am I doing? Yajo, that toast? Right, I'll do that. Okay then. Cheers! Clink, clink, clink. Everybody happily clinked their glasses together. Since I was the one who invited Maho to the party, I decided to cheer her up. That was an interesting toast. I hate myself. What are you talking about? You are a cool cat. Mahonyan, when are you starting at May Queen? I'm not, okay? Ferris and Dr. Leskinen were both enjoying trying to make her feel better. All the puns. All of them. Suzu, let's have a toast. Me too, Suzuha. Oh, yeah. Suzuha still had a somber look on her face, but Mayuri, Yuki, and Daru forced her into a toast. There, Suzu, Mayushi made this. He's got a PhD in fun. He does. Mayuri put a piece of quiche on a plate and gave it to Suzuha. When Suzuha took a bite, her expression began to shine. It's good. Really? Yeah. Eat more, eat a lot. I can't eat it all at once. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Nobody's gonna sit down and eat like the whole quiche. Next, Mayuri offered the quiche to Maho and the professor. Maho and Dr. Leskinen, try some too. Thanks. It's good. This is really good. Okay, try this too. It's shrimp gratin and ethnic-style fried chicken.
Excellent.
What style fried chicken? What style fried chicken? To be fair, it is traditional in Japan, at least lately, to have fried chicken for Christmas Eve. That is a thing. KFC is booked like a month ahead of time for pre-orders for Christmas Eve chicken. Yeah, that's a... Whew, that's the marketing jackpot right there. Excellent. You really put a lot of effort into this. Yuki went around and offered everyone something to eat. But she couldn't bring herself to offer any to Suzuha. Mayuri kept motioning for her to go over, but Yuki just kept fidgeting. Maybe she was thinking about it too much? But Suzuha kept devouring all the food that Mayuri and Yuki had prepared and gushing over each dish. The two of them had been practicing their cooking for about a month here in the lab. I guess it paid off. Oh, there's cake too! Kaede did the decorations. I didn't do a very good job, so forgive me. It's cake. Like, doesn't really matter how the cake is decorated. Decorating it well can add it to it, but even just like slapping some icing on it that's like totally half-assed, it's still cake. Like, you can't, it's hard to ruin it. Kaide's really kind of clumsy, but doesn't that just make her cuter? That really doesn't feel like a compliment. Everyone laughed. Then, about an hour after we started eating, when she saw that everyone had eaten enough food, Ferris clapped her hands together loudly to draw everyone's attention. Okay, every kitty, now that we're all having fun, I'd like to start exchanging presents now. We didn't have any time to get something good. I hope that's okay. Maho and the professor had stopped at a Don Quixote on their way from Wako City and spent just 10 minutes picking up presents. Donkey Sote. It's definitely not Don Quixote. No. Totally different. 100% different. Don't worry, that's fine, yeah? Totally different. I didn't bring anything. Mayoshi and I brought yours. Mayoshi was the one who chose it. I see, sorry. Don't worry about it. That's literally the point of the party, is you didn't know ahead of time. Don't worry. Mayuri mimicked Daru's words as she pulled out 2 small wrapped parcels from her bag and put them on the table. They both had the same wrapping as the one Daru was holding. They must have brought them about the same place. Mayuri had already explained to me Operation Number 2. Mayuri's plan for the evening was not only to make Suzuha smile, but to bring Yuki and Daru a little closer together. I thought of a lot of different ways to decide who gets what presents, but in the end I decided we're just gonna draw numbers, meow. Ferris gathered together everyone's presents and put little stickers with numbers on them. Nyan nyan nyan. And then she lifted a bundle of disposable chopsticks up above her head. Mayushi brought these so we could play the King's Game tonight, meow. Don't say that, Ferris. Hey, Mayuri, the King's Game is something you play at singles parties. I know that, I just got a little confused. Well, I love it when girls order me to do things. Oh, Daru. Ashida, you really are a pervert. So we're going to use these chopsticks that Mayushi was a little confused about and use them to pick presents, nya. Whatever number's on the chopstick you draw, that's the present you get, nya. Ferris loudly shuffled all the chopsticks and then went around to everybody so they could draw one. She was also part of Mayuri's plan. In fact, Mayuri and Ferris were sending signals to each other with eye contact and with their fingers. While everyone was focusing on the chopsticks, they were busy relabeling Yuki and Daru's presents. They were so obvious about it that I started getting nervous that Yuki would find out. Everybody got a chopstick now? Okay, I'll hand out the presents. No opening your present till everybody's got theirs. This is really exciting, isn't it? I wonder what I'm gonna get. Ferris and Mayuri passed out the presents according to the numbers that everyone drew. Once the presents were handed out, everybody started to take off the wrapping paper. What? Nai was the first to react as she gave out a very strange cry. Inside her box was a skull face. Oh, isn't that cool? It's a belt buckle. Nai, if you wear it to school, I'm sure it'll make you very popular. Thank you. Lukako, you terrified her. You should have been able to tell by the black outfit. Clearly, Lukako is goth to the core. I was feeling bad for Nai, but when I took out my own present... whose idea was this? The box had a cute design, and inside was what looked like a see-through white veil. The veil was decorated here and there with little pink ribbons. This can't be a... Oh, you got it, Oguri. You can give it to Mayushi as a present. No way! I'm sure she'd be happy to wear it for you. Why are we talking about this? What's this about me? Mayuri heard her own name and came over. What's that, I wonder? It's baby doll lingerie, Mayushi, and a super cute and sexy one. You can wear it for Ocarina, okay? Type of lingerie worn by women, notable for its wide hem that fluffs out. you know that's not happening. Then why don't you wear it yourself? I'm giving this back. You can enjoy it yourself. I pushed the baby doll lingerie back into Fubuki's hands. Okay, want to exchange it for what I got? Fubuki handed me her present in exchange. The wrapping lid had already been removed. I took a quick look inside. Sexy pink shorts and a pink bra. Yup, they were see-through. Why was that everybody's present idea? Oh, that was the present I brought. I'd love it if you had my Yuri wear it. They're all trying so hard. Enjoy. Is that all you people think about? Mayushi already got a present from Okarin, so I'm okay. Mayushi had drawn my present, perhaps because we were childhood friends. By the way, I'd chosen a huge chunk of chocolate in the shape of a gold bar, kind of thing you find in a Don Quixote bargain bin. Okarin, was there really nothing else you could have gotten? Shut up! I read in a magazine that these things make hilarious party gifts. No, there's no way anybody would want to get this. None. It's chocolate, come on! What? Not even a chance? The magazine said it was a sure thing. Mayushi's happy. It's a gold bar. I'm never going to get to touch another one in my whole life. Oh, poor Mayuri. Ah, you're such a good girl, Mayushi. You really are a good girl. There. Fubuki and Kaede were patting Mayuri's head, half out of sympathy and half because she was cute. Somehow, I ended up as the bad guy. Okay, now it's my turn to open. Yuki started to open her present. Wow! She took out a cute wooden music box. When she opened the lid, there was a little tin figure that danced. Wow, it's so cute! It's wonderful! So romantic! That's so nice! The girls all seemed really impressed, but Lukako is a guy. It definitely looked like something a woman would enjoy receiving. With as many girls as there were coming to this party, it might have been the perfect choice. Wait, maybe I should have brought something like that. But then I realized that the idea had never even occurred to me. Whose present could this be now? Paris, you're making it too obvious. Oh, me. Daru reluctantly raised his hand. Huh? What? Oh my. Uncle Daru, you're amazing. Nice, brother. Everyone except Mayuri and Ferris, who knew about it in advance, raised their voices in surprise. This is from you then, Hashida? What do you think? Mayushi was the one who told me to get it. It's wonderful. Thank you. I'll treasure this. Yuki held the music box close to her chest. She seemed really happy. And then her expression turned confused as she looked down into the box. Then she started to fidget. Excuse me, I need a second. She hurried off towards the washroom, still holding the box. She must have seen the trick. According to what Mayuri had told me earlier, there was a fake letter from Daru himself taped to the bottom of the box. Something like a love letter along with an invitation to a movie date. I wondered how she was reacting. Meanwhile, Daru had also opened his own present and he looked a little bothered. He'd been given Ferris's present. Until he'd opened it, he looked really happy, but now he'd gone completely silent. According to Mayuri, he was going to get a pair of movie tickets. And even though it was a present from Ferris, the tickets came with instructions to use them for a date with Yuki. Ferris responded to Daru's questioning gaze with a wink. Good luck, nya, she seemed to be saying. For her part, Ferris received some kind of strange doll that Maho had brought at the Don Quixote. Lukako's present was a miniature remote-controlled helicopter that Dr. Leskinen had purchased. And Dr. Leskinen got a set of 12 cute little crayons from Nai. Suzuha's present was a pair of handmade gloves. Yuki had evidently made them herself. She put them on looking happy, but maybe a little lonely, and smiled. That's great, Suzuha. Yeah. Wait, what did you get, brother? This... Huh? Daru realized he'd been set up and was clearly avoiding looking at her. Suzuha seemed to understand and patted him on the back with a gentle expression on her face. What's wrong with that? Go have a good time. What? You too, Suzuha? Well, it's frustrating watching you too. But I've never been on a real date. Neither has Mom, supposedly. What? Really? Yeah. I see. Yuki came back from the bathroom. She seemed to be having trouble walking straight. She sat back in her seat, but began to nervously nibble on snacks at the table. Go do this so I could be born. It's very important. And once in a while she would take a look at Daru. For now, the movie ticket plan seemed to be going well. I have no idea what they wrote on that note. Staring too much could tip her off. I should probably pretend I don't know anything. Oh, Maho got the music box Mayushi brought. Mayuri raised her voice when she saw the music box in Maho's hands. It was shaped like a deformed bear, and when you wound it up, its hands and legs would jerk back and forth as it played a tune. It was a very different design than the one that Yuki had received. Is it really okay for me to get something as nice as this? Sure it is! Go ahead! Go ahead! What kind of music does it play? I want to hear! Yeah, me too. Maho started to wind it up. As she wound it, Kaede turned off the music in the background. Here we go. Maho took her hands off the winding key, and the mechanical yet gentle sound that was unique to music boxes began to play. The lively atmosphere of the lab was replaced with a feeling of calmness and peace. We listened quietly to the sound of the music box. Mayushi really likes the song. So do I. That makes you feel all warm, right? Yeah, it does. Oh, I see. This is the song. Suzuha stood up as if she suddenly remembered something. Yuki, don't you remember? Huh? What? Yuki was spacing out so hard that she started to panic when Suzuha spoke to her. When I was sick, you sang the song for me here. Oh, come to think of it. Yeah, it's definitely this song. Suzuha seemed to be remembering something as her eyes narrowed. Hey, Big Sis Mayu, what song is this? This is... Mayuri was about to speak and then... Out of nowhere, the world twisted. I moaned in pain as an incredible sense of wrongness flooded through me. The whole lab seemed to twist and fade, and the happy party I'd been experiencing warped and waved like a mirage. This couldn't be, no. Somewhere far away I heard something that sounded like a violent crash. I was just barely able to move my eyes in the direction it came from, and I saw Fubuki falling to the floor as she knocked over a table. Kaede and Ferris ran over to her, calling her name. But it all looked so blurred, like I was watching a movie underwater, and everything was moving so slowly. Their voices were getting further and further away. No matter how much I stretched out my hand, it reached no one and touched nothing. It was a terrible feeling, as if time and space were being torn apart, and even matter itself was losing subjectivity. This feeling, even if I didn't want to remember it, I knew what this awful feeling was. I knew it far better than I'd ever wanted. This was reading Steiner. Well, happy good fun times. Pandora's Box. Again, happy good fun times. For the first time in almost 4 months, I felt like the whole world was twisting. Who was it? Who had changed the world line? I didn't do anything. I hadn't interfered with the world. So why was the world doing this to me? I opened my eyes. Things had already taken on different colors. The world kept wavering until once again it became fixed to a single point in time. I wasn't looking at a warm, cheerful party in the lab anymore. I was outside. It was raining. The rain was falling on my face in drops so large that it hurt. It was midwinter rain. It was freezing cold, and I could feel it sapping the strength from my body. My view stopped twisting. I was staring at the broad back of a man I didn't know. I could hear the sound of many boots stamping through the mud, mingling with falling rain. The stench was terrible. The smell of sewage was so strong it hurt to breathe, and it was mixed with the awful smell of burning rubber and plastic. Where was I? What was I doing here? Things around me had changed so much. I tried to understand the situation I was in, but my brain was having an awful time keeping up. We're almost there. Hang in there. When I stopped, a rough hand patted me on the shoulder encouragingly. I looked around to see a man around my age with a strong, powerful face. It was a face I'd never seen. I didn't know him, probably. The man was wearing the camo outfit and equipment I'd often seen the self-defense force wear in the news. He was carrying an assault rifle on his shoulder. There were 7 or 8 people around me, all dressed the same. They surrounded me in a circular formation and walked forward silently. Excuse me. As they kept a careful eye on the area around them. Are these people the self-defense force? Then I realized I was wearing the same camo uniform they were. I'm in the SDF too? I touched my bicep to check, but there was no muscle. It was flabby and weak. Unlike the others, I wasn't carrying any weapons. And what was going on here? I felt like these 7 or 8 tough-looking SDF guys were all guarding me? Since when was I that important? Still confused, I dragged myself onwards. Where was I anyway? It was a long path filled with dark brown mud. The walls formed a tall silhouette to the left and right. The path was filled with garbage and concrete rubble, and sometimes we had to force our way past it. I looked up past the high walls. Despite the rain, the moon in the night sky was strangely red and a little too bright. It was thanks to the moon that we were able to walk down a path like this without flashlights. Huh? Sound. I heard a sound. It was the sound of water? I looked over and saw a hole opening in one of the walls. Filthy water was pouring out. The water formed dozens of little rivers that blocked our path. So that was it. This was the bottom of a river that had dried up. What looked like high walls were the river dikes. Where are we? I turned towards the man who had spoken to me a bit ago, and yelled so that my voice could be heard over the rain. Shush, don't make any loud noise. Oh, sorry. We're almost through the city center. If we can make it to Nerima Garrison, there'll be a car waiting for you, so just keep walking. But his words cut off there. Everyone seemed more tense than ever. One of them grabbed me and pushed me towards the side of the riverbed. Everyone put their backs against the wall and held their breath. I could hear the sound of a helicopter's rotors in the distance. No, more than just one. They were getting closer. I had no idea what was going on, but I could feel my heart starting to beat faster. Get in the shadow of that car. Past several meters of rubble lay an overturned car. It must have fallen into the riverbed after the water had disappeared. The entire body was bent inward, and the roof was completely crushed. I lay down in the stinking mud and slid into the shadow of the overturned car. At the same time, the SDF soldiers were issuing each other orders, as if this was something they'd planned for already. 2 of them stayed by my side, and everyone else ran back the way we'd come. They all climbed up the crevices and outcroppings on the wall, then disappeared over the edge of the dike and out of my view. Shortly after... Those were gunshots? And not just a single shot from a handgun or anything like that. This was the sound of war. I could hear the helicopters get further away, drawn by the gunfire. Oh no. In this world line, was Japan at war? The Third World War? I remembered Suzuha's words. I happened to look inside the crushed car. I could see the corpses of a man, a woman, and a small child hanging upside down, still attached to their seatbelts. They were all covered in dried black blood. They looked like mannequins at a bad haunted house. Yeah, that. And then I realized, I'd been so focused on moving forward that I hadn't noticed what they were, but I'd seen similar mannequins sunk into the mud. I could see their arms, the bones, and ragged muscle exposed to the air, reaching up to the sky as if seeking salvation. I put my hand over my mouth to stifle a scream. Those weren't mannequins. Now, get along the side of the wall and move. Huh? We're changing the route. Come on, stand up. He pulled me up. My knees were shaking from shock and exhaustion. The others are drawing away the Soviets' helicopters, but that won't last long. Hurry. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics created in 1922 after the end of World War II. It began a long Cold War with America, but the Cold War ended in 1991. It consisted of Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Moldova, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan? Man, that's worse knowing that these are actual places I can't pronounce. Tajikistan, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. I'm good at names. Always. The Soviet Union? My mind was dulled from the terror, but it seemed like there was something off about what he just said. Get a hold of yourself. Do you know how many people have died to protect you? Protect me? Why? We haven't been told why, but we were told to lay down our lives for you if we had to, and that you could change this country's future. The helicopter passed over the riverbed. The bright searchlight passed by us for a moment, but thankfully the shadow of the dike hid us. This way. The young SDF soldier, whose name I didn't even know, pulled me inside one of the holes in the concrete. When I looked closely, I could see that it was the entrance to a sewer. It was just big enough for a single person to pass through. Struggling against the flow of water that came up to my knees, I pressed on through the darkness. My sense of smell had already gone numb, so I didn't have to worry about the stench of the sewage. Once inside, we came to several branching paths. The SDF soldiers seemed to know which one would lead where, and they marched on without hesitation. And then we came out of the sewer and back into a riverbed. It was dried up, just like the one we'd just been through. I didn't know if it was the same river or another one, and the two soldiers didn't tell me. Either way, I was glad to finally be out of the foul-smelling darkness, and I tried to take a deep breath and fill my lungs with fresh air. But halfway through, I realized that the riverbed smelled even worse than the sewer. Took an involuntary step back and then another. The sight in front of me was just that terrible. What was once a riverbed was now filled with bodies. Some of them had been burnt totally black, so it was impossible to tell how much death lay before me. And in the distance, I could see what looked like bonfires. They were burning despite the rain. The fires were consuming the mountains of flesh that once were human bodies. We're almost there. I know it's rough, but can you run? Huh? Yeah. The SDF soldier spoke to me, and then I came back to my senses. If it weren't for these two, I wouldn't have been able to stay sane. We ran through the riverbed, one of them in front of me and the other behind. I could hear the constant drone of the helicopters above me. Sometimes the searchlights got very close. Each time they did, I hid in the piles of bodies until they passed. I'd seen this many times before as I'd wandered through the world lines. I'd seen death. I'd seen the moments where people had died. But at the same time, I'd never experienced what happened to a dead person after they were left out for a long time. More than fear, more than sorrow, the thing that hit me first was the smell of death. The rotting stench ate away at my body, not my soul. My whole body was rejecting it. It made me feel sick. Thinking that way meant trampling on the dignity of the dead, but I couldn't help it. The Valley of Hinnom. I remembered that phrase. That was what the strange attacker had said that night when they came after Dr. Leskinen, Maho, and me. Is it better for you to enter life with one eye than have two eyes and be thrown into the Valley of Hinnom? That valley was the origin of the word Gena, meaning hell. It was said that flames burned there every night, scorching the heavens themselves. Those who died merciless deaths with anger or misery in their hearts were flung into the flames, their souls becoming black smoke that rained hatred down on the land. What I stared at now was Gena. The two soldiers led me to a half-collapsed subway tunnel. The lights were all off because there was no electricity, but there were 3 armored cars in camo colors, with their headlights on to illuminate the way. There were 4-wheel drive, off-road vehicles covered in thick chunks of armor, but I didn't see any real weapons. You can take the subway route to escape to Saitama. I hear it's still safe at Iruma base. If you can get that far, you should be able to escape Kanto, one of the air's self-defense force's largest bases, located between Iruma and Sayama, cities in Saitama Prefecture. It's home to 18 units and around 4,300 personnel, and it's also the location of the Air Defense Command Headquarters Flight Group. Escape Kanto? Ask them about it. For now, just hurry. There were a lot of things I wanted to ask, but even as we spoke, I heard what sounded like gunshots outside the tunnel. The men forced me into the back seat of one of the cars. Goodbye. I'll be praying for your safety. What? What about you guys? We have another mission to carry out. Farewell. The two soldiers who had brought me here saluted, then turned around and left the station. I felt like I was never going to see them again. The door on the armored car slammed shut with a heavy thud. The car's crew were SDF soldiers, just a little older than me. The diesel engine kicked to life, and the car raced down a tunnel that had originally been designed for trains. Of course, it wasn't a pleasant ride at all, but I didn't have any choice. There's no way I could tell them I wanted to go to Akihabara. I had no way to alter the world line. I had to survive in this hellish world. Stupid yawns. And to survive, I needed to do what they said. My wants didn't matter at all. I wasn't even allowed to express them. I just did as they told me and ran. It was all I could do, but I had no idea it would take an entire month. Story so far. The USSR starts experimenting with a time machine and America goes apeshit. Give me that time machine. USSR, but I refuse. Oh, is this just 4chan still? Eastern powers and Soviets get cocky. How's it feel to be you right now, huh? How's it feel? This brings us to the end of your regularly scheduled Cold War. US, I'm gonna bomb you from Japan. WWWW. USSR, then we'll invade Japan. Us. Oh shit. Right now. The USSR is kicking ass. Hokkaido and Northeast Japan are screwed. Are they coming for Central Japan now? People of Nagoya. GTFO! Amateurs who know nothing about strategy need to STF you. The SDF may look like they're retreating, but they've actually got a defense line at Mount Fuji. They're about to start a counterattack. The Mount Fuji line, WWW. Who the hell is dumb enough to believe Japanese Imperial High Command, WWW? We better not start hearing calls for kamikaze pilots soon. Shut up, noob. Idiots like you are the real threat to Japan. Wait, what the hell happened to the collective right of self-defense? America's only interested in protecting Okinawa. So what the hell is the SDF doing getting sent off to Siberia? How are they supposed to protect the country? You protect it, chicken hawk. You want to fight? Go volunteer. They say they aren't getting enough recruits. Are they going to start conscription soon, you think? What's the point of conscripting a bunch of fat otaku? They just get in the way. War these days requires professional soldiers. Says the fat otaku who doesn't want to go to war. There are barely any professional soldiers left in Japan. Our masters in America sent them all around the globe and then stuck them here. You guys will probably be getting your conscription notices soon. Good luck. I'm a chick, so I don't care. In other words, if we get a sex change, we don't have to go, right? The real enemies of Japan are its own citizens, huh, asshole? So, seriously, are we going to split up like Germany? It's likely. They say there's a provisional government forming in Okinawa. They're all set to abandon East Japan and just have America protect the West. Those incompetents in the government might honestly do it. Also, hey, sir.
Hey, you want pizza?
I mean, why not pizza, though? Is this really the time to bash politicians? Traitor shill. Traitor, WWW. Shill, WWW. Strategically, America can't let go of Okinawa, and Japan wants to keep some kind of government. That means that making a provisional government in Okinawa is the best option. You bashed the hell out of Okinawa up until now, and now you're telling me this? Shut up, traitor. So if I'm a traitor, what are you? If you're posting on 8chan right now, that means you either fled the country or ran to Okinawa. Is this today's you don't get to talk thread? Okay. A shortened version of the Japanese word for laughter, wari. Supposedly it was first used in a non-Japanese online game. By adding a W to the end of a sentence or placing it in the middle, you can indicate that you find the situation humorous. On anonymous internet message boards, adding more W's, such as www, can be used to increase the amount of laughter, or indicate that you're mocking an opponent. Examples of sentences including W are, whoa, okay, ooh, and I'm getting excited. Ooh. Using W's in this way is sometimes called making grass grow, because of the way they look. Yeah, that I actually knew about, because that is a real thing on, like, Nico Nico. Like, if you ever see, like, Japanese videos where they have, like, the comments scroll across, sometimes when something funny happens, you just see a lot of W's. Like, that is legitimately a thing. Net slang, that means, okay. Are we sure that's net slang and not just, okay? That needed an entry. The reason it took a month to get to Okinawa was that we were losing the war. Supposedly, the plan had been to ferry me by plane to Okinawa once I'd arrived at Iruma base. I don't know, Sora. But the constant bombing had slowed us down, so they gave up on the plane and decided I would escape to Kyushu by ground. There was more than one attack by Soviet spies and assault teams. Some of the SDF soldiers protecting me died. But when I got to Sasebo, I was able to get on a Maritime's SDF escort ship and managed to escape to Okinawa. Why were they doing all this for me? No matter how many times I asked, no one would answer. Also, hey Otaku, welcome to Viperland in chat. Well, I mean, the game canonically takes place in, like, 2010, but the game released a ways back. Release date? No, that's the anime date. I don't want the anime. Hold on. Game. I want to know when the game released. Google. Apparently 2015. It sounds later than I'd expect, but apparently 2015. But it's still canonically set earlier. Beat Steins Gate Elite? Heck yeah! I haven't actually played Elite myself. I only played OG Steins Gate, but still, congrats. I hope you had a good time with it. Part of it's out of date, part of it's intentionally out of, I don't know, I'm just gonna, it's fine. I think it's the dry winter air that just messes with my nose. No matter how many times I asked, no one would answer. Okinawa in winter was covered in thick clouds. Come to think of it, I hadn't seen a real break in the clouds for a whole month. I was thinking about that when I was loaded into the van with dark tinted windows that had come to pick me up from the port. Inside the car was not only the driver, but a middle-aged man sitting in the front passenger seat. He was very short, perhaps only around 150 centimeters tall, but he had the air of a military veteran, and even though he was fully dressed, I could tell he was extremely muscular. Rintaro Okabe, correct? I'm Shimoyama, with the Ministry of Defense's Intelligence Security Command, one of the central ministries of Japan. It manages and operates the Self-Defense Force. In 2007, it changed its name from the Defense Agency to the Ministry of Defense. Okay. We're going to make a stop at the airport and then head to the Okinawa Defense Bureau in Kaidana? I'm sure you're tired from your long journey, but I'll have to ask you to hang in there for a while longer. One of the 8 local defense bureaus in Japan. It's the center of Japan's Ministry of Defense in Okinawa. Makes sense? Right. Ah, I heard that Tokyo had been destroyed. The major functions of the Japanese government were now headquartered out of the Okinawa Defense Bureau to allow for better cooperation with the American forces stationed nearby. That's what Shimoyama explained to me. In other words, the place I was heading to was the core of Japan's defenses. Once I arrived, would I understand why it was so important that all these soldiers were willing to die to protect me? The car stopped in front of Naha Airport for a while. An airport in Naha. They could have just stopped there. I feel like that's it. It is the hub airport of the Okinawa area. The airport is also home to the Air Self-Defense Force's Naha Air Base. As of 2009, it was the 6th busiest airport in Japan, as measured by number of arriving travelers. And then I saw a surprising pair get aboard. Okabe? Wow, it's really Ocarine. You're Yuki and Nakase. I wasn't expecting to see them here, but they were the first people I knew who I'd met since coming to this world line. That alone was almost enough to make me cry. Still, I couldn't just sit there and be happy. What about Mayuri? Do you know where she is? She's fine. Yuki nodded, as if trying to make me feel better. She was just with us. Just with you? That's right, Mayushi and Rumiho and Luca and Kaede. When we got to the airport this morning, we were all waiting because they said we could go to some place called the Defense Bureau, where we'd be safe. They just said they'd take Fubuki and me there first. And then they had us get inside this car, where we found you. Anyway, I'm glad everybody's safe. Since Daru and Suzuha weren't mentioned, I was going to ask about them, but... Sorry, but can you talk about this later? Shimoyama cut me off and the car started moving. The plan is for your families to arrive at the Okinawa Defense Bureau eventually. We already have them under our protection. Really? I'm so glad. Your other friends are in the car behind us. You haven't been separated, so don't worry. I took a quick look and saw another identical van a little behind us. So Mayuri and the others were there. Then we'll see them later, right? Of course. Yuki let out a sigh of relief. But then I started to wonder about something else. Why were we split into different cars? This van could hold at least another 3 people. If we squeezed tight, it could easily hold everyone. Or is there some reason they'd put me, Yuki, and Fubuki into the same car? The car drove alongside the Okinawa monorail for a while, and then went south down a wide bypass. The only railway operating in Okinawa as of 2011 runs approximately 13 kilometers between Naha Airport and Shuri Castle, with a 30-minute transit time and 15 stations along the way. It's so dark. Huh? What was that? Nothing, just there are all these stores, but they're all dark. There were lots of franchise restaurants, big supermarkets, cafeterias for tourists, and rent-a-car places all jammed together along the side of the road. But all of them were dead silent, and their lights were turned off. Barely any of the street lights were turned on, and the only cars were Japanese and US military vehicles. I didn't see anyone out walking. There's a blackout in effect, as well as a curfew past 5 o'clock p.m. Okinawa may be safe, but this is still wartime. Things can't be like they were. I can't wait for the war to end and everyone to go back to normal. Wartime, huh? Tell me, Okabe, the Okinawa you knew was a bright, fun place, even at night, wasn't it? Oh, I wouldn't know. I've never been to Okinawa before. That's a shame. Then I pray you get to come back for a good vacation sometimes. This is really a nice island. The car headed up from the bypass over a land bridge, and then to another road. We quickly came to a long tunnel. I actually wanted to ask the 3 of you some questions before we got to the bureau. That's why I have you riding with me. Huh? My guess was right. That meant there was something he wanted to ask just the 3 of us. But why us 3? I wasn't particularly close to Yuki or Fubuki. I'd only ever started talking to them a few months ago, and then I shook my head. That was before the world line changed. Maybe things were different in this world line. I had no idea what my relationship was to anyone else in this world line. Since the SDF had been treating me so well, I didn't want to make Shimoyama suspicious. I decided it would be best to leave most of the talking to Yuki and Fubuki. Yuki Amane. Yes? Shimoyama spoke to Yuki first. Yuki went stiff when her name was called. I could feel it even sitting next to her. You don't know where Itaru Hashida and his little sister are, do you? Little sister? That must be Suzuha. That would mean that even in this world line, Suzuha had come from the future and gotten to know Yuki and the others while pretending to be Suzuha's sister. I mean, but pretending to be Daru's sister, but it's fine. And the SDF evidently didn't know where Daru and Suzuha were. No, Yuki fell silent and glanced over to me, as if expecting help. But I didn't know where they were either. I didn't even have any memories of this world line, so I had no way of answering. But Yuki's attitude bothered me. It was as if she knew where they were and was deliberately hiding it, and that I was supposed to be hiding it too. I could figure that out. I'm sure Shimoyama could too. Strange tension filled the car. Yuki was trying to hide it from whom? You sure you don't know? Shimoyama turned around from the front passenger seat and asked again. I'm sorry. Yuki bowed her head in apology. But you were very close to him, weren't you? You were his lover, and yet you heard nothing? You know that cell phones don't work anymore, right? There are plenty of ways to get in touch with someone besides a cell phone. But I really don't. Nothing from his sister either? Nothing. By the way, I'm told you were researching something with Hashida, Okabe. Huh? I wasn't sure how to react when the conversation suddenly turned towards me. Researching? Researching what? Uh-oh, if I panic, I'll make them suspicious. What were you researching? I would just have to give him the most harmless answers I could. It wasn't really research, it was more like inventions? Inventions? Like whether you could attach a CCD camera to a bamboo copter to do aerial photography, CCD, Charge Coupled Device camera, is a camera that uses semiconductors. In normal parlance, the term refers to any extremely small camera. Or whether you could use the heat from a vacuum cleaner as a hairdryer. Oh, that's interesting. Then you weren't, say, making something unbelievable and running away from us so that we wouldn't find out what it was? Running away? Damn, I responded. That was a mistake. But did that mean that Daru and Suzuha were hiding from the SDF amidst all this chaos? The SDF had risked their lives to protect me over the past month. Shouldn't I be asking them for help? I got even more confused. You don't know? That's fine. We'll talk about Hashira and his sister some other time. Somebody please tell me what the right answer is. How am I supposed to respond here? Katsumi Nakase. There was something else I wanted to ask you. Me? This time it was Fubuki's turn to jump up in her seat. No, don't get so nervous, it's nothing big. Or so Shimoyama said, but Fubuki was clearly starting to get scared. The reaction was strange, it was too strong. Maybe the self-defense forces weren't simply protecting us. For one thing, there was no way normal civilians like us merited such important treatment. Then what were they after? No, I could guess. The time machine. This war started with Russia's time machine experiments. And of course, Nakabachi was involved. I learned from some of the soldiers that even in this world line, he'd sought asylum in Russia. And Suzuha was a time traveler from the year 2036. If Suzuha was here in this era, that means it was Daru who made the time machine that brought her here. If you had a time machine, you could change the outcome of this war. It would make sense if that's what the Japanese government thought, and if that was why they were trying to capture Daru, Suzuha, and their friends. Once I realized that, the whole situation started to feel terrifying to me. Was this car really headed towards the Okinawa Defense Bureau? And if it was, were they really going to keep us safe there? About the physical you underwent last week. Was there some problem? No, you've almost recovered from the wounds you sustained in Tokyo, and health-wise you're fine, but you're under a lot of stress. Oh. Well, it's not surprising. You survived that terrible bombing. It's no exaggeration to say that most civilians have PTSD now. Post-traumatic stress disorder, from the 4th edition of the DSM-4, the American Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, published in 1994, caused by severe shock from experiencing an accident, disaster, crime, or other seriously traumatic event. This mental disorder causes any number of stress-related issues. Symptoms include psychological instability, insomnia, confusion, memory trouble, and other problems that last for over a month. But it seems that your symptoms are a little different than most people's. You have very realistic dreams, for example. In particularly severe instances, they could almost be called waking dreams. I'm told at times you lose the ability to tell the difference between dream and reality. Isn't that just PTSD, though? Fubuki was too scared to speak, so Yuki interrupted curtly. It was rare to see Yuki act like this. If nothing else, I'd never seen it before. It was plain now. Yuki didn't trust Shimoyama. In fact, she considered him an enemy. No, it's very strange. Shimoyama paused for a moment for effect and rubbed his chin. There are others who say they have very similar dreams, and not just one or two. What? Of course, the degree to which they suffer from this problem changes, but we found more than 10 in Japan alone. They exist in other countries too. Well, we've only got information from the West. That's just a coincidence, isn't it? Fubuki was incredibly frightened. So I spoke in her place. You've heard of Putin, right? Fictional. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. From 2000 to 2008, he was the second president of Russia. After 2008, he became its prime minister, a former KGB agent. Subtle. Super subtle. Suddenly, Shimoyama turned his gaze towards me and asked me a question. Putin? The Soviet General Secretary, right? I almost said the President of Russia, but managed to stop myself. The Soviet Union still exists in this world line. Putin's title was General Secretary, not President. I'd heard that during my time in Uruma. Correct, but interestingly enough, Nakase referred to him as the President of Russia. What? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention, and I'm not really what you call a good student. No, that's not it. That's one of the strange things about all the people who have these dreams. They all call him President Putin. And they all call Gorbalev and Lelston presidents too. Boris Nikolaev Lelston, man, I'm so sorry to people who are Russian. A former USSR politician. After the fall of the Soviet Union, he became the first president of the Russian Federation as well as its prime minister. Died in 2007. Mikhail Sergeyevich Gorbalev, General Secretary of the Soviet Communist Party, the last leader of the USSR. He executed the Perestroika plan and brought the Cold War to an end. I apologize to anybody who can actually speak Russian or is Russian. I tried. That's why the scientists have started calling it President's Disease. Not a terribly clever name, if you ask me. No way. Is he talking about reading Steiner? There was a strong chance that people besides me had the power, even if not as acutely. I never found out for sure, but what Ferris had said in the Alpha World line certainly suggested it. So it was certainly possible that Shimoyama's waking dreams were actually the effects of reading Steiner. If they all were aware of the world line shift a month ago just like me, if Ibuki had the same memories of the other world line that I had, it would make perfect sense that she'd called Pushin a president. Gorbachev? Leltsin? You don't know them? Didn't they teach you that in world history? I only took science classes in high school. I thought everyone knew about them. Do kids today not know who they are? I find it hard to believe you're all that ignorant. I'm sure you know about Gorbachev and Lelston, right, Okabe? Yeah, I suppose so. And Perestroika and the fall of the Berlin Wall. Russian for restructuring, a policy of economic revolution via the introduction of market-oriented economics that was implemented in 1985 by the Soviet Union. Originally, it was an attempt to reboot a stalled socialist economy, but it led to the end of the Communist Party's one-party dominance and the collapse of the USSR. After World War II, the capital of Germany, Berlin, was divided into two sides. The eastern side was controlled by the Soviet Union, and the western by America, England, and France. Later, Germany would split into West Germany and East Germany. The portion of Berlin in East Germany remained its capital, but West Berlin remained occupied by the Allied powers while being cut off from the rest of West Germany, which lay approximately 100 miles to the west. In 1961, East Germany built a wall around the city in response to continuing attempts by its citizens to seek asylum in West Berlin. This was the Berlin Wall. Excuse me, one second. I swear my throat's just dry tonight. It's been very, very cold around here lately. We had a bunch of snow the other day. I think it's just dry air. Additionally, West Berlin was never officially West Germany territory. They simply operated as a stand-in for foreign affairs and currency administration. Yeah, they were in the textbooks. The second after the words were out of my mouth, an alarm went off in my mind. Something was wrong. There was something strange about what Shimoyama was saying. Then I realized, the East and West were caught up in the middle of a world war. How could the Berlin Wall have fallen? And could Gorbachev really execute Perestroika? By the time I realized he tricked me, it was too late. My panic appeared on my face. You too, huh? And you were deliberately trying to hide it, weren't you? So the information was right after all. You know something important. Listen, Okabe, I want you to tell me. Shimoyama suddenly laughed. It was a bitter laugh, almost eerily so. Gorbachev? Lelston? Who are these people you all keep talking about? We don't have any data on them, and neither do any of the American intelligence agencies. That data doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Looked over at Yuki. From the look on her face, I could tell that she really had no idea who they were. Perestroika, the fall of the Berlin Wall, did these things really happen? Tell me, please. But I couldn't answer. I was thinking of something completely different. I suddenly realized why the world line might have changed a month ago on Christmas Eve. What if Russia used the time machine that day in an experiment to change the past? The goal of the experiment would have been to stop the collapse of the Soviet Union. If the rest of their changing the past was this world line... How foolish. A single change to the past and the butterfly effect makes the entire world so different. A part of chaos theory that says if a butterfly flaps its wings in Beijing, a storm will occur in New York. Even a small change in starting conditions can lead to radically different results. Chaos theory states that it can be difficult to predict the outcome of a system, even if the equations describing it are extremely simple. But this does not mean, however, that these outcomes are random. It means that even a minor change in the process can cause an unexpected divergence in the result. Also, this theory does not apply to short-term predictions. Do they know how many people had died? Have you and your friends really experienced the history of a different world? I just can't believe it. It's just nonsense cooked up by some crazy scientist. It was about to push me further when... Chaos theory. Just leave the name. We heard the sound of an incoming call on a cell phone. Shimoyama grunted and took his phone out of his pocket. This is Shimoyama. Yeah, we're on our way to the brewery. I'm not tired. I've slept well. I'm well hydrated, mostly. But yet, as the night goes on, ability to speak English just tanks for some reason. I don't understand it. Like, I'm not really tired, which is going to be bad in an hour's time when I need to try to sleep, but you know. What do you mean? It's all the names. Yeah, I'll blame it on that. Damn it, that's the problem with these idiots. What country do these politicians think they're working for? Shimoyama's fingers slammed down on the end call button, so hard I thought the phone would break. There was a look of rage on his face. We're changing our destination. Head to Kadena Base, Gate 2. An American Air Force base in Japan. It is twice the area of Tokyo International Airport. His words were filled with irritation as he spoke to the driver. Yeah, that's what they were trying to say, is that it's very much not random. It's just the system is so complex that when viewed over a long period of time, you just can't really expect how every little thing is going to interact with each other. I took several semesters of meteorology classes in college, and whoo boy, like, very much it's just a known thing. Like, mind you, this was a decade ago, so like technology changes, but at least at the time it was just like, yeah, you can make predictions within 3 days. Anything past that, you're educated guessing. Like, there's so many little factors that could change how the weather is going to go in an area more than a day or so out. Like, what if this wind comes over that way? What if this wind comes over that way? What if like this hits? Like, there's so many factors, and just where a front will move, things are insane. But yeah, it's all just, real world is complex. It may seem like, oh, if I do A, B happens, but like, maybe not. Changing destinations, especially over a longer time span. Who is he just talking to? As I sat there confused, Shimoyama started to call someone else. This is Shimoyama. We're changing our destination. We'll meet at Gate 2 at Kadena Base. That was all he said before he hung up. What's going on? The situation's changed. Okabe is heading to a U.S. military base. From there, he might get to take a fun trip on a U.S. Air Force plane to America. What? America? I'll ask them to make sure you get a first-class accommodations, but don't get your hopes up. They don't listen to us any more than you listen to a yapping pet dog. Why America? I don't know if it's the CIA or the NSC, but someone wants us to hand you over. The American National Security Council, an organization that works directly for the White House and advises the President on national security matters. It consists of the President, the Vice President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Treasury, and the Secretary of Defense. An abbreviation used by the American Central Intelligence Agency. The CIA reports directly to the President. They engage in spying, intelligence gathering, and political manipulation in foreign nations to guarantee America's security. They are said to have been involved in many major historical events. Yes, none of them positively. But why? Ask them yourself. And then he turned his back towards the front of the... Then he turned back towards the front and fell silent, refusing to answer any of my questions. The car went down the road for a while until we got off at the exit that read South Okinawa. Yep, U.S. Air Force. We stopped in front of the gate. Several U.S. soldiers had evidently been waiting for my arrival. Once we hand you over to the Americans, we're not going to get any accurate information from them. So, this is my last chance. Shimoyama turned around from the front passenger seat and looked straight at me. His eyes were desperate and begging. Tell me, what are we supposed to do from now on? Please. I remembered all the soldiers in Tokyo who'd fought so desperately to protect me. Were they fighting to help someone else in Tokyo right now, or were they already... I don't know. Okabe. I really don't know. Do you think I can do something about this war all by myself? Knowing that Gorbachev and Stalin were presidents of Russia, or that they brought a dramatic end to the Cold War, that doesn't actually help anything. I could hear the sound of another car getting closer. Shimoyama sighed and opened the passenger side door. Get out. Exited the car as I was told. Oh. Mayuri got out of the van behind us and ran over to me. Just Mayuri in army outfit. Mayuri! My childhood friend flung herself into my arms and I held her tight. I finally get to see you. I'm so glad you're safe. I could feel her warmth. Mayuri was here. I'd never gone almost a whole month without seeing her before. And this was wartime. I couldn't easily contact her like I could in the old world line. So I'd been so worried about whether or not Mayuri was okay. It was no exaggeration to say that I'd survived this far just to make sure. I'd erased the entire Alpha world line to save her. No matter what happened, I wanted her to be safe. Oh, Green, you're hurting me. Oh, sorry. I'd held her too closely. I took a step back. Mayushi believed, you know? Mayushi believed she'd get to see Ocarine again. Yeah. Hooray, you're safe, Nya. Okabe! I like how war doesn't stop her from Nyaing. I heard two more voices I recognized. Eris and Luca, and behind them I saw Kaede. I'm glad you're all safe. Okabe, Lukako. I felt myself getting choked up too when I saw Lukako cry. I exchanged greetings with Kaede too. Fubuki had grabbed onto her like a little kid. She was still pale and trembling. Ferris, I guess you're not wearing your maid outfit for once. It's been a long time since anybody's called me Ferris, Nya. Ferris spoke sadly. Then she put her hand around my neck and held me close. Her little pink lips got close to my ear as if she was about to kiss me. Hey, what was going on? Ha ha ha, don't be so embarrassed, Nya. She laughed mischievously. Then Ferris, no, Rumiho Akiha, whispered into my ear while pretending to kiss me. Be careful. Don't trust the Ministry of Defense or the Americans. Adults are all liars. None of them tell the truth. That's right. Ferris had a special talent. Cheshire Break. A fictional grinning cat in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. She was incredibly good at looking into someone's heart and seeing what they were thinking. Yeah, I just figured that out. One of them just tricked me. Ferris looked surprised and took a step back. That's sad, Nyan. Yeah. And then I heard the sound of another engine. This time it was coming from beyond the gate and inside the base. It belonged to a black luxury car with an E on the license plate. Behind it was a minibus. The two of them stopped in front of the gate. It was time for my reunion to end. Welcome! An American soldier as tall as a basketball player got out of the car. Welcome, everyone. My name is Hammond. His Japanese was good, but not great. Everyone except Mr. Akabe, please get on the bus. He was smiling, but I could tell he wasn't going to allow any arguments. And the other American soldiers were still carrying their rifles as they stood guard without smiles. Shimoyama and the other Japanese were watching us from a distance. They didn't try to stop us, they were just looking downwards. Huh? Everyone but Ocarine? What do you mean? There's no need to be scared. We're just going to talk to you a little, and then we'll send you right to the Okinawa Defense Bureau. Come along. Sure they will. Ocarine? It's fine, don't worry. But... Yuki, take care of Mayuri. Okay. Yuki nodded and put her arms around Mayuri's shoulders as she led her to the bus. Everyone else followed. Tell my parents I said hi. Once everyone but me was on, the minibus left immediately. The area in front of the gate fell silent. It was hard to believe this existed in the same world as all the places I'd crossed on my escape through Japan's main island. Alright, Mr. Okabe, come this way. He told me to get in the back seat of the black luxury car. What would happen to me once I got inside? I tried to think about it, but realized there was nothing I could do. I was just about to get into the car when... Okabe, run! If you go to America, you won't come back alive! Shimoyama's scream was cut off by the sound of gunfire. In the corner of my eye, I saw the American soldiers firing without hesitation. Away. I tried to turn around when... Get inside. A large hand blocked my vision as Hammond held me down. I couldn't hear Shimoyama's voice anymore. With the gaps between his fingers, I could see that nothing was moving, and I knew exactly what that meant. I was shoved into the car before I had time to think about it. This is... I tried to open my mouth, but Hammond looked into my eyes and shook his head. I wasn't supposed to talk then. Hammond sat next to me, then closed the door. The car started to move. Soon, we turned down a different road than the one the minibus was taking. America, huh? I'd never been there before. What were they going to do to me there? Use me as a guinea pig? Cut open my head and dissect my brain? I probably wasn't going to be able to do any tourist things. I felt like screaming, but tried my best to stay calm. There's someone I want you to meet. Hammond suddenly spoke, then handed me something. I took it before I even looked at what it was. When I checked, it was a normal smartphone. It's not locked, just hit that button. Confused, I pressed the button as I was told. And then something appeared on the screen. Krisu? It was the Amadeus Krisu Makase. Why does the US military have Amadeus? I was about to ask Hammond when, for the first time in about a month, that feeling came back. You know, perfectly normal shenanigans. The whole world and all its colors began to shift. There was a feeling of instability, like my brain was unable to recognize where it was, and then dizziness and a sense of falling, like you get when you're anemic. I could hear the blood vessels deep within my ears, and they sounded really loud. The sense of floating finally stopped, and my surroundings coalesced into firm shapes. Ah. Ocarine? Mayuri was in front of me. I was in the lab, in the room I knew well. There was no trace of Okinawa anywhere. Mayushi's going to get embarrassed if he keeps staring like that. I realized that I was staring at Mayuri. I looked around the room. Daru was sitting in front of the PC, like always, hunched over with his back towards me. Suzuha was reading a magazine on the couch. On the open page I could read the title, New Encephalitis Strikes Worldwide. Are you in danger? The same couch, the same cheap fridge, Daru's computer desk, the dirty curtain that cut off the development room from the rest of the lab. Excuse me. The wall clock, which I'd picked up at a garbage dump, told me it was past 6. I looked at the calendar, and 2010 was already over. It was January 2011. The world line had changed again. I was back to the old world line. Hey, Mayuri, this is Akihabara, right? Huh? Is it not Akihabara? It's Akihabara. What day is it again? The 21st. Do you know who Gorbachev is? Gorbachev? I think I've heard that name. Perestroika, right? Russia. Was it Gorbachev back from the Soviet days? These days, when you think Russia, you think Putin. I'm sure if he was in front of me and he glared at me, I'd pee my pants. Yeah, because if you didn't, he'd probably have you killed. I know Putin. He's the president of Russia, right? Did you know he likes doggies? He keeps an Akita. I saw it on the news. President. Yeah, that's right. He's the president. Mayuri, Daru, and Suzuha all looked over at me suspiciously. Felt like a long time since anyone had looked at me that way. I was back. I no longer had to worry that I might be killed at any second. I felt incredibly relieved, but at the same time I wondered, why had the world line changed again? I needed to calm down and think for a bit. I went up to the roof and booted up the web browser on my smartphone. Unlike during wartime, it connected immediately. I was amazed at the speed. Just getting an internet connection to the last world line had been difficult enough. I started by searching for Gorbachev, and the results came back instantly. Wikipedia. Perestroika, the Soviet Union's first and last president. The August coup d'etat and the collapse of the Soviet Union. All the keywords I hoped to see were there. As soon as I confirmed that the Soviet Union was dismantled at the end of the 20th century and no longer existed, I closed the browser. Whew. Then why had the world line shifted again? I hadn't done anything. I didn't have any way to affect the divergence value. So what had changed it? Had whoever had performed the first experiment in Russia undone it? Had they watched his progress for a month and then been satisfied? They're going to keep doing it. And if they did, would I be caught up in it each time? It's so cold. It was a mistake to come outside without a coat on. Nothing I could come up with by myself would be anything more than a guess. I went back to the lab. The wreaths we'd put up in the entrance for the Christmas party was still up. A Christmas party, huh? It had only been a month, hadn't it? Felt like a million years ago. I had no memories of what I'd done in this world line after the Christmas party. Oh, come to think of it, we left the decorations up. We should take those down. You and Miss Fubuki collapsed during the party, right? So there was a big fuss and we sort of forgot to clean up. Nakase and I collapsed. Was that when the world line changed? Everyone remembered that I'd collapsed at the Christmas party, which means I'd come back to the same world line as the one I'd been in before. If this was Russia's doing, it was terrifying to think they could control the world line to that degree. And there was one more thing. It worried me that Fubuki had collapsed too. I stood there, lost in thought. Daru and Mayuri looked a little concerned. Ocarine? Oh, come to think of it, I was wondering how Nakase is doing. I quickly came up with an excuse. Fubuki's still in the hospital. In the hospital, even though it's been a month? She says she's fine, but they won't let her leave. I've heard that lately, unless you were really, really sick, they wouldn't let you stay in the hospital for very long. Was Fubuki sick with something? I still think she's got this, I guess. Suzuha whispered as she held up the page of the magazine she was reading. New encephalitis strikes worldwide. Are you in danger? New encephalitis. I borrowed the magazine. They were talking about this last November. I'd seen a glimpse of it on the news. Outside of Japan, they'd seen almost 100 people, albeit with mild symptoms. In Japan, there were 10 people being held at hospitals for examinations, or so it said. So it had made its way to Japan. And one of these 10 was Fubuki then? Was it transmissible by air? We didn't catch it at the Christmas party, did we? I knew that getting nervous wouldn't help anything, but still I wondered. Hey, shouldn't you go to the hospital too, Ocarine? You were in worse shape than she was, you know? Yeah, I'll think about it. I gave a half-hearted answer to Mayuri and turned back to the magazine. Strange symptoms being found all over the world. Causes unknown. Sudden memory loss. Memories differ from those of the people around you. Losing all sense of the passage of time. Losing the ability to tell the difference between dreams and reality, and sometimes having waking dreams. The article was filled with things like that. This was just like reading Steiner. And it matched exactly what Shimoyama had told me in the other world line. You have very realistic dreams, for example. In particularly bad instances, they could almost be called waking dreams. I'm told at times you lose the ability to tell the difference between dreams and reality. There are others who say they have very similar dreams, and not just one or two. I'd wondered back then if Fubuki possessed reading Steiner too. Maybe the reason she collapsed at the Christmas party wasn't some new disease, but the unexpected activation of reading Steiner. That would mean her diagnosis was wrong, The unnecessary tests and treatments they gave her wouldn't help a bit. It looked like I needed to talk to Fubuki. I ended up going over that day. She was at a large general hospital with a medical student department, located in Ochanomizu. It was close enough to Akihabara that I could walk, and getting there was easy. Since she might get the wrong idea if I went alone, I encouraged Mayuri to come with me. I hoped it would look like I was only coming as an afterthought, but it ended up being a bigger deal than I expected. When they heard that Mayuri was going, Yuki and Kaide decided to come too. Evidently, they'd all been to visit Fubuki several times before, and they knew exactly where she was located. They walked down the halls without hesitation. It was almost 8 when visiting hours ended, so we needed to hurry. But as we passed by a nurse's station, there was a minor commotion. A woman in her late 40s wearing a gray jersey was yelling at the doctors and nurses. "Enough of this! When do I get to go home? We've told you, only after you've been examined and gotten the treatment you need. You aren't giving me any kind of treatment, and what was supposed to be a quick exam ended with me stuck here for a month. What am I supposed to do about my job?" Calm down. There's still a lot we don't know about this disease. Without proper examination and treatment, it's dangerous. Liar. TV said not to worry because it wasn't that bad. We told you before, you can't believe everything you see on TV. It's only if you get the appropriate treatment. One of the nurses just told me you were dizzy. I just felt anemic because dinner was late. I'm just fine. Let me go home. I also just realized they call her impatient because she wants to go home soon, but she's also still in the hospital as a... It's good. I like it. The woman was about ready to grab the doctor by the throat. Several female nurses held her back, then dragged her off somewhere with reassuring words. It's good. I love it. That scared me. You think Fubuki's okay? The girls hurried even faster down the hallway. Fubuki was in a 4-person room at the very end of the hallway. We hesitantly peeked inside. That voice. We could hear moaning coming from beyond the curtains surrounding Fubuki's bed. Mayuri went pale and hurriedly ripped them open. Fubuki? Borgle. Apparently. Fubuki made a strange noise and spun around as we came in. I looked closer and saw that she was sitting on the bed with her legs crossed, watching a show on the LCD TV attached to it. Her eyes were red and swollen with tears, but given the fact that she had a stick of pokey in her mouth, she was probably just crying over a soap opera. Huh? Oh, you guys came to see me! Fubuki wiped away her tears and welcomed us with her usual smile. Whew, you scared Mayushi. I thought you were crying. You really scared us. Sorry. Even as she apologized, she tossed another chocolate-coated stick in her mouth. Her hair was tied up and she was wearing some kind of headgear? At first I thought it was just that she was too lazy to do her hair, but evidently not. There were cords coming out of the headgear that were attached to a belt around her waist. Were they monitoring her brainwaves? As unobtrusively as possible, I took a look at the other patients around the room. They were all wearing the same headgear. They may have been giving it to all the encephalitis patients. Sorry to bring everyone over, Fubuki. Not at all. You're very welcome, and I didn't think Ocarine would come. Fubuki stared at me intently. She'd never done that before, so I started to wonder if there was something on my face. They said you collapsed like I did, so I got worried. How are you doing? Just fine. I really don't understand why they won't let me leave. Every day they just do exams, and there's nothing for me to do. I'm so bored. You're not allowed to use your phone in the rooms. If I want to send a text, I have to go all the way to the lobby. And they turn off the lights at 9, so I can't watch the late-night anime. I really just don't believe this. Her bed was surrounded with portable game consoles, magazines, a miniature DVD player, anything to stave off boredom. And given all the half-empty boxes of snacks, it was hard to believe the disease was as serious as they said on the news. Are you okay, Ocarine? Yeah, I told Mayuri this, but I'm fine. I see, I'm glad. She seemed truly relieved, but she was still staring at me. Huh? And suddenly, Kaede started to fidget. Not only that, she blushed, then glanced at me, and then almost started to cry. She was acting really weird. Kaede? What's wrong? Kaede started fidgeting even more when she realized that everyone was looking at her. She had no choice but to go over and whisper something into Fubuki's ear. Huh? Fubuki, shh. The other girls tried to quiet Fubuki down. This was a hospital, and there were other patients in the room. We couldn't make a fuss. But listen to this, everyone. Miss Kaede Kurishima here suspects me of secretly dating Ocarine. Now it was our turn to keep from shouting in surprise. But where are you getting that from? Because according to Mayuri, you were the one who wanted to come see Fubuki today, right? That's true. There's another reason, but I couldn't say that. And Fubuki and Ocarine were staring longingly at one another. We were not staring longingly at one another. That's not it, Fubuki tried to scratch her hair, but the headgear blocked her way and she gave up. I had this really realistic dream. Realistic dream? I was startled. That may have been what I wanted to find out. It was sometime this evening. I was kind of spacing out. There's just nothing to do around here. And then somehow, I don't really remember, but me and Ocarine and Yuki were all taken somewhere in a car with these scary men. I was there too? Yeah. It was the same. That meant Fubuki had experienced the same things I'd gone through in the other world line. And this evening would have been the same time I was experiencing it. I peeked through the curtains to make sure that none of the hospital staff were around. Sorry guys, but can you leave me alone with Nakase for a bit? What? No way! It's not like that! Wasn't really sure how to handle that reaction. Is it something you don't want Mayushi and everyone else to know about? It's about her disease. Okay, I understand. Mayuri nodded and went outside the curtains. The other two looked bothered, but they followed her. Mayuri knows all. Nakase, did this dream of yours take place in Okinawa? Huh? Yeah, that's right. I think it was Okinawa. I think I saw a sign saying so when I was in the car. Inside the car there was you, me, and Yuki, then the driver, and a short man who was an SDF soldier. Yeah. The man's name was Shimoyama. Fubuki suddenly went pale. The dream about being in a car in Okinawa could be written off as a coincidence, but knowing the exact name of the man in that shared dream was a different matter entirely. How? Why? The man talked to you about waking dreams and the president of Russia. That's right. And then we were taken to the US Army. Here, but now to the VODs. Yeah, absolutely to the VODs. See you, Robin. There you met up with Mayuri and the others and said goodbye to me. Fubuki was too stunned to speak. Like, there's no way I could give a TLDR of the past 3.5 hours. The VODs are the answer. There's no room for doubt. My suspicion turned into certainty. Fubuki had a stronger reading Steiner than most people, and remembered the other world line as a relatively realistic dream. In the dream, that Shimoyama guy said that you and I both had memories of another world. Yeah. Was he right? Yeah. I hesitated for a moment, but then I gave her a brief explanation of my own reading Steiner ability. The one thing I wanted to make sure she understood was that her dreams weren't caused by an illness, but her reaction wasn't what I expected. Then there may be others who aren't sick too. There are? There's nothing to do, so I talk to the others a lot about the dreams we have. Excuse me. And sometimes it's just amazing how similar they are. So, isn't that funny? There's a kid in elementary school who's in the next room. We became friends. They said that they'd never been to Okinawa, but they had a dream that they were there. Tokyo had burned down and the self-defense forces saved them and took them there. I see. Oh no. If that was true, then it wasn't just Fubuki. There were other patients who were being kept in the hospital for no reason, who didn't have any kind of disease at all. Should I talk to the doctors? No. I don't think they'd believe you. And if they started to think that your delusions were getting worse... you're right. You shouldn't tell the others yet. You don't want there to be a fuss. Yeah. And then Yuki poked her head through the curtain. Okabe, a nurse is coming. Visiting hours are over for today. I looked at the clock. It was well past 8. Sorry for being in such a rush, Fubuki. Next time we'll come earlier so we have more time. Ah, Mayushi, don't go. But the nurse will get mad. Let them get mad. Sleep with me tonight. Fubuki was back to her usual self. She grabbed Mayuri's hand and held it tight. Kaede chuckled and forced her to let go. Don't be selfish. We'll come as often as we can. That's not good enough. Come tomorrow and the day after, as soon as school's over. I'm so bored I could die. Fubuki flailed her arms and legs about. It was a bit too deliberate, if you ask me. Kaede patted her on the head. Right. Bye-bye. Mayuri and Yuki went over to pat her too, and before long she looked like a little puppy in a kennel being petted. We left her behind and exited the room. I was the last to leave, and before I did, I turned around and saw Fubuki staring at us from the bed. Our eyes met, so I nodded a little. It's okay, you're not sick, so don't worry. I don't know if she understood what I meant, but she nodded back. The hospital halls were strangely silent after visiting hours were over. Aha. I want to talk in private. I'll wait for you to contact me. Something on the short message made me feel very tense. No, I guess that's what I was supposed to do. I saw the icon and... Alright. After I said my goodbyes to the others, I contacted Suzuha. She told me to come to the top of the radio building. When I arrived, she was standing silently on the dark roof. There was no trace of a smile on her face. Her eyes shone in the darkness, and as she glared at me, I felt a shiver run down my spine. This was not the Suzuha I was used to. Maybe this was her true self. Whatever she wanted to talk to me about, I was sure I wasn't going to like it. Sorry to bring you out here like this, Uncle Ocarine. What did you want to talk about? I'm really not good at talking to people, or trying to persuade them, you know? I guess you don't really have to persuade people when you grow up in war, it's just guns. And the way she stumbled over her words, it was clearly something she didn't want to talk about. Just say it. That's what the old you would have done, right? Yeah, you're right. Are you trying to break this to me gently? I see. Thanks. It's not really like that. Suzuha got a little annoyed and tried to say something back to me, but ended up swallowing her words. To be honest, it was a bit of a shock at first. We were so different than the Suzuha I know. You can't help it. When the world line changes, so does the environment you grow up in. That changes your personality and how you think. Yeah, but I don't think that anymore. You're still the Suzuha I know. No, I really am different. I'm not the Suzuha Amane you know well, Uncle Ocarine. Suzuha? I followed you today. Followed me? That's right, all the way into the hospital. What did she say? Why would she do that? No, I knew the answer without even asking. There was only one reason she would do something like that. You realized that I jumped world lines. I'd always suspected that your reading Steiner might have activated on Christmas Eve. And not just then, today too. And now I'm sure. I deliberately avoided telling Suzuha that the world line had changed. It was obvious that she would react like this. Tell me, is this a different world line than it was before? What will you do with the answer? Just tell me. This is an order, Rintaro Akabe. Well, you know, I gulped as I saw her pull a gleaming pistol out from her jacket. It was aimed right between my eyes. This is a joke, right? I wouldn't do this as a joke. It felt like Suzuha was trying to revert to who she was when I'd first come to the Beta World line, a woman who put her mission above everything else. She was so desperate it hurt to even look at her. What would happen if she shot me here? I imagined myself lying on the ground in a pool of blood. In my mind, the image overlapped with Krisu's dead body. I closed my eyes and grit my teeth, trying to avoid a flashback. I spent the last month trying to escape to Okinawa in the middle of a war, but I still wasn't used to having a gun pointed right at me. I'll ask you one more time. Did the world line change? Is this a different world than it was before? But Suzuha's hands were shaking a little as she held the gun. That would have been unimaginable when she first came here from the future. Maybe she was ashamed of it because she bit down on her teeth even harder. She must have bit her lip when she did so, because a single trail of blood ran down her jaw and dripped into the ground. I stared at the blood as I answered. Don't worry, we're in the same world line we were before. You're sure? Yeah, it's true that the world line moved once, but we came back, I think. Who was responsible? Russia? I think so. Which means they finally started experimenting with the time machine. I nodded. And that means there's no time to waste. If they keep experimenting, something will happen that can't be changed. It might close the path to Steins Gate. I'm a fool. I shouldn't have wasted time worrying. I'm done trying to get you to change your mind. What will you do? Rintaro Okabe, you're going to follow my orders. You're coming back to July 28th with me. And if I refuse, I won't let you refuse. Are you okay with that? What? Are you okay with erasing this world line? Shut up. You'd think people would hear a gunshot. There was a horrible ringing in my ears and a fierce pain in my eardrums. A second later, the smell of gunpowder passed by my face. She really shot at me. Next time, it won't be a threat. I'll shoot you. She was glaring at me as if she was about to cry. We stared at each other in silence. Tried as hard as I could to come up with something to calm her down, but nothing came to me. Nothing I could come up with would get her to change her mind. What should I do? Suzuha, Ocarine, what are you doing? Suddenly, I heard Daru's voice. I turned and saw that he'd just come out of the door near the stairs. Dad, how? I got a message from Mayushi and Amanishi. They said you'd contacted Ocarine. I had a bad feeling, so I decided to look for you. Then I got a message from an unknown sender. Unknown sender? You sent me a URL that led to a map of this place. I thought you might be here, so I came right over. And then I heard a gunshot and it really scared me. Daru's whole body was covered in sweat. Even as he spoke, large beads were appearing on his forehead. He must have really hurried. So, Suzuha, what's with the gun? Oh, Suzuha wasn't actually... You wouldn't fire a gun if you didn't have a reason, duh. Come on, Suzuha, out with it. Dad, you know what it is. What's that? The world line changed. Russia started experimenting with the time machine. You're sure? That's why I'm doing this. At this rate, it'll be too late to do anything. We won't reach Steins Gate. We won't be able to stop the Third World War. Lots of people will die. Mom will die, and I won't be able to stop any of it. That would be really bad. But still, even if you threaten Ocarine and force him to go back to the past with you, is that really going to work? Daru's normally easygoing expression had suddenly turned serious. Since I've started to research the time machine and the world lines, I've kind of figured something out. I think Ocarine might be right, and it might be impossible to save Makusashi the normal way. Now you're saying it too, Dad. If the rules and causality of the world lines could be changed that easily, Ocarine should have been able to save Mayushi in the Alpha world line, right? The school of thought that says that all things have a cause and an effect. This idea is at the very core of relativity theory. However, it's been observed in the microscale world of quantum mechanics that causality does not always apply. Then what am I supposed to do? Daru brought his fist up to his chest. That's what we're researching, right? But there's no time. It's okay, just leave it to me. I'll figure something out, I promise. I wish you'd listen to your dad once in a while. Daru's voice was strong and kind in a way you'd never imagine he was capable of. He softly took the gun from Suzuha's hands. She didn't resist. Here, you forgot something that's way more important than a gun. On cold days like today, you should be wearing these. Daru took something out of his pocket. He pressed it into Suzuha's hands. It was a pair of handmade gloves. It was the present that Yuki had given her at the Christmas party. I remembered it well. When he gave her the gloves, warm tears started to flow down her face. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Help me, Dad. Help me, please. Suzuha's shoulders shook as tears poured down. I turned my eyes towards the time machine, a silhouette in the darkness. I decided that I'm not going back in that thing. No matter what Daru said, no matter how Suzuha threatened me, I wasn't going back to the past. I can't look back. The next thing she knew, Suzuha was inside the time machine, wrapped up in a blanket. She must have been crying a lot because she hadn't even noticed that she'd come inside the time machine, or that Rintaro had left. Her dad was next to her, He was also wrapped in a blanket, and he was looking at her. Have you calmed down? What time is it? She wiped away the tears as she asked. It's almost a new day. Sorry to keep you out this late. It's fine, it's fine. I told you before, you can always count on your dad. Yeah. Time Machine's hatch was still open, and cold air was pouring in. Each time they spoke, they could see their breath turn white. The machine was still silent. They could use the life support system in the cockpit to keep out the cold, but she didn't want to waste energy. She rubbed her cheeks with her glove-covered hands. The gloves Yuki gave her were very warm, and her hands were the one part of her that wasn't cold. You know, I think someday Okarin's going to work with us. No, he's going to be our leader. Suzuha was a little surprised to see Itaru speaking seriously. Normally, all Itaru ever did was screw around. The Future Gadget Lab only exists because of Okarin. He's having a hard time right now, but he'll get over it, and then Kyoma Hoyoin will revive. You know, the name Phoenix isn't just for show. And when that time comes, Okarin will probably get in the time machine himself, without needing you to tell him to. Suzuha realized Itaru was trying to make her feel better. Suddenly, deep in her heart, she felt a little warmer. Dad, do you realize how embarrassing the things you're saying are? Huh? Yeah, you're right. No way I could say that in front of Okarin. I'm going to write a letter to Uncle Okarin before tomorrow. If I try to talk to him directly, I'll end up acting weird again. I don't know if pulling a gun on somebody is acting weird. I think that's underselling it slightly, but I'll tell him I'm sorry. And that I'm going to keep fighting a little longer. So I want him to just think about it. But still, there's really not a lot of time left. Not a lot of time, because Russia started their experiments. You see, the internal battery for the quantum computer that controls the time machine is just about to run out. A computer capable of using quantum mechanical overlapping to perform parallel processing while modern-day computers switch between two signals, 0 and 1, they perform their calculations that a quantum computer is capable of calculating these two signals at the same time. This allows for exponentially faster calculations to the point where it is expected that quantum computing will change everything we know about the world we know. Practical quantum computers have not yet been built. Seriously? I told you I used the machine a lot starting in 1998 in order to look for Kagari. That wasn't part of the original plan. Of course, that meant I had to use the computer that controls the machine more than I'd meant to. And that drained the battery? The battery is actually closer to running out than the fuel. It'd be hard to make the machine jump the way it's supposed to. If it's just a battery, can we swap it out or recharge it? Nope. Can I take a little look at it? Suzuha nodded and pointed to a piece at the core of the machine. Itaru leaned his huge body forward to take a look, but soon he gave out a moan of confusion. What is this thing? The battery was the same size as the cars, but it was the product of 2036's technology, and Itaru lived in the year 2010. There was probably no way you could understand it. Excuse me. From Itaru's perspective, it might as well have been a black box of unknown technology. A quick look wouldn't tell him anything about how it was built or how it would work. That was one reason why Suzuha had agreed to let him look at it. I don't think you can do anything with 2010's technology. It's basically the same as a disposable battery. You can't charge it and you can't swap it out. Can you replace it with a battery or generator from this time? Suzuha shook her head helplessly. I tried that a long time ago, but it didn't work. I asked Big Sis Rumi to get me a car battery, one of the big ones they use in trucks. I hooked it up and it didn't last a second. What did you say? I tried a gas-powered generator and it didn't work either. Can't even imagine how much gasoline you'd need, and we can't fit that much gas inside the machine anyway. Big Sis Rumi went through a lot of trouble to get me one of the latest fuel cell batteries. But even that wasn't good enough. Future tech is amazing. All that power in something this small? Itaru was staring in amazement at the futuristic battery. If only we could use garbage as fuel, like in that one science fiction movie. So, how long is it gonna last? Probably 1 or 2 more jumps at most? Monopoles. Yeah, you know. To be fair, those aren't really an... Definitely Back to the Future 2, for sure. Were monopoles even really an energy source? Like, they used it in, like, motors and joints, but it was still powered by electricity. Like, they still got their power from the electricity beamed through the laser at the dish. So I don't think they were used to power the machine, but they didn't really go over in... They were just used. They were just used. Don't worry. They saved the world. Don't worry about the random tech that's there. Yeah. So, I still, like, I get the concept of what a monopole is at a basic idea, but, like, I don't really know how they were used in that sense. That's all? And even when the machines shut down, it's still calculating gravity fields and positional coordinates constantly. Even if we don't jump, the battery will eventually run out. True, but that was used by just military tech. Like, maybe they used monopoles too, but, like, that was straight up just like they were making stuff for the military. Like, they had budget. We had another 6 months of battery at most before we lose the ability to do an accurate jump. So that's all the time we have to save Krisu Makase. Suzuha grabbed onto Utaro's back and took a deep breath. It was squishy, and it felt good. What happens if the battery runs out and we can't control the machine? We lose control of the Care Black Hole and are trapped beyond the event horizon for eternity. Also known as the Schwarzschild radius, a point past which no information can be transmitted. Information transmission occurs via light and electromagnetic waves, but the incredible gravity at the center of a black hole makes it impossible for even light to escape. The boundary at which this occurs is the event horizon. Anything that occurs inside an event horizon cannot be observed from the outside. Since no light can escape, the center of a black hole appears black. A black hole whose existence is predicted by current theories of physics. Unlike other black holes, the singularity at its center rotates, while other black holes have their singularities at a single point. The Care Black Hole's singularity is a ring. Don't even say that stuff, it's bad luck. Yeah, sorry. But I wonder what it's like. I wonder if it's calm and quiet like this, and it just stays that way for eternity. Maybe that wouldn't be so bad. As she clung to her father's warm back, Suzuha started to feel very sleepy. If she let her guard down for a moment, she was sure to fall asleep. She'd been trained to fight on the battlefield, but this wasn't the battlefield, and she was exhausted from crying. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to let herself sleep once in a while. She sat down and held her knees like a child, and softly closed her eyes. I see. So Suzuha's leaving before summer ends, no matter what Ocarine decides. Just before she fell asleep, she thought she heard her father talking to himself. This is truly paradise. That said, this is also a very logical ending point, because I feel like we won't make it to another end scene in the next 7 minutes, so I feel like here's a good spot. We did a bunch tonight. A lot of stuff happened. And here we are, going through stalls in Akihabara with Maho and Krisu, because, you know, gotta go on a shopping trip every now and again. Who cares if you spent a month seeing dead bodies in all of Japan while war raged? Go shopping when you get home, it's fine. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in, thank you all for watching. Hopefully everybody had a good time. Yeah, no more depressing stuff ahead, it's all behind. Yeah, it was all just in that one little bit. Yeah, no more, that's it. It's smooth sailing from here on out. Nothing but smooth sailing. The plan for tomorrow is Yakuza 5. I'm just going to say Tuesday is going to be Ryza. We'll have one mildly goofy game and one calming chill game. Wednesday and Thursday I'm off because I'm getting boosted on Thursday, and assuming that boost doesn't knock me the heck out on Friday, we start in Path of Exile. Unless anything changes on Discord, and it hasn't changed in the past day, I'm going to say it looks like we're playing the Chaos build. By the end of Tuesday night stream, I'll cut it off because I have to still prepare and like set up sound files and stuff for it, the loop filter. So it's still up in the air until then, but it looks like it's not changing. It's probably going to be the Chaos build, which is cool. Yeah. Got ourselves a monster, a quote, a Discord, and you know what? Because of the There's the sparkles. Perfect. So yeah, thank you again, everyone who tuned in. Hope you all having a good time. This has been Viper for Viperland, and I'll see you all next time.